yeah. Pew, 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 pew. We are back and we are live. It is Rumble on Rumble number 28, and we are here to do it right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are excited. We are juiced. We are pumped up. We have a very special guest, Pro. You want to just go ahead and bring him on? Let's just get right into it. Yes? We can't hear you. You're on mute. Can you hit me?
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
There
That's
you
right.
are.
That's right. No, we
Yeah.
good. That's me. I was muted up because I was jamming during the intro. I didn't want everybody to hear me back there, doing my thing. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? We'll go ahead and bring them in like we be in time. Like it's one of them. What's the sessions? QV half hour.
Yeah. All right, man. So basically want to let you know a little bit. By the way, the jams you were playing before the show, tasty
Yeah.
jams. Loved them. Real fast, want to let you know about this man. This man has too many accolades, is too busy to mention. But let's just say this. This man is very active in his local community, his political party. He's a personal friend. Crushed it at the Grifties on a personal note. Crushed it at the Grifties. He's a great dude, and he's a great talk. And we're excited to get into it. Him and Pro are going to educate you tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, the beast from the north coming in with the fire, with the heat, with the snow blazing balls. Pause. Give it up for AK KAMARA.
Pause, Granddad.
Hey, man. Thank you for having me on, man.
I had to pause on the cold balls, man, because the ice
snowballs.
Snowballs
Snowballs are powerful. You never Iceman?
Yeah,
You ever watch,
yeah.
like,
Bro,
Iceman?
I'm in the South, bro. Like it snows once every 10 years in Savannah. Okay, so
Listen, man, it takes something to be in the cold. Like, I'll admit, I'm one of these guys that will tell you I'd rather be like below 30 than like 99 or 100 degrees, like straight up. Because I feel like when it's super hot, there's nothing you can do to naturally cool down unless like you're under a fan, you in AC. But if it's really cold, you can like run around. You know what I'm saying? Like just move around, you'll be Gucci. So I'd rather take the extreme cold, but it builds a certain type of character when you have to, endure these cold temperatures, man.
See, the bad thing is it gets
Agreed.
cold. We get those 20-degree mornings, those like 38-degree, 32-degree. Like we get those. We just don't get the snow. Like I'd be fine with the cold if we like got the snow, but it just be
Pro. Let me
ice
ask you,
and
man,
shit.
what's the coldest it's ever been?
Bruh, listen, we already know you done been in the negatives, all right?
All
That's
right,
fine.
yeah.
We
Now,
in paradise, okay?
30, listen, 30 in the wintertime,
Yeah.
you're gonna catch me wearing some shorts. That's what you're gonna catch. Right?
I believe
like,
that. I believe that.
Like
I've been
straight
there.
up. And
I've been
it's goofy, but like I 30, that's a hot day in the winter. I'm talking about negative 30 when you wake up and you're like, yo, this is brutally cold.
Those snow days, you know what I'm saying? Like, I always wanted a snow day. Watching it on TV growing up, it was like, damn, I want a snow day. And we got a couple of snow days and was like, but I was an adult when we got these snow days.
Yeah.
So it sucked because, adulting is still adulting. So you still got people going to work and they suck on the road when it never snows. Like, it sucks.
It is. Well, also, there are hot people and cold people, right? So my wife is from Idaho, and she's a cold person. By the way, real fast, we just got to shout out Fuego in the building. Haram in the building. Thank you, gentlemen, you soldiers in the posse. Yeah, no, I was just going to say, man, I'm a hot weather person, right? LA, Hawaii, Oklahoma. I can do about 40, 45 minutes straight in a sauna. Literally, like people are passing out and getting sick. I have a great hot weather tolerance. You know what I'm saying? Shout out Amy in the building. Pew, 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 pews, fellas and ladies. But cold, dude, it gets literally 45 degrees. And I'm like, this is ludicrous. I'm like, I don't want to be out. Under 45 degrees. And there's no reason I want to be outside for no reason. So,
yeah, most people don't want to be outside when it's that cold.
But yeah, my wife has no problem. I'm like, it's 20. She's like, yeah, okay, let's go to the store. I'm like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong? So, oh man, how's your Sunday been, AK? What you been up to, man? I know you've been busy. We've seen you around, but not as much. But you have a lot going on. So talk to us, man. Fill us in. Where you been? What's been happening with you?
Yeah, honestly, I started. So I do independent courier contracting, and I started doing an overnight gig, and it just works better with my overall schedule. And so most of the time when like the Griff Report's on, I'm actually just getting up and getting my day started. So I got a bunch of stuff that I usually got to do. But I always listen back overnight when I drive it. Sometimes like I'll be listening, I'm like, oh, I want to comment. But I mean, comments still help the algorithm afterwards, but you know, it's after the fact or whatever. But so like today, for instance, you know, I wear multiple hats, right? And one of the hats that I wear most recently is I was elected to be the Republican National Committeeman. And we could talk about that later. But basically, I represent my state's Republican Party to the National Republican Party. And so one of the things that I do in that role personally is I want to actually connect with the grassroots. So when there's a candidate that has a parade, you know, again, it's more of like an optics thing. I go and walk and parade. So earlier today, I was walking with a candidate that doesn't even live in my district. But you know, he's actually helped out my campaign in different ways. And I do this type of stuff. So originally I was going to go to that parade, and then I was going to drive about an hour to go to like a picnic event that some Republicans were having, but we had some flooding in southern Minnesota, so that got canceled. But that's what I do most weekends, man. I'm out moving around the state, going and talking with Republican groups of people, telling them basically, you know, about what I think is positive about what our chances are in Minnesota. And you know, a lot of people just need to feel energized, especially in a state like Minnesota. We haven't had a Republican win a statewide office since 2006. We haven't had our state vote for the Republican presidential nominee since 1972. It's been 52 years. And so a lot of times people will get beat down. And so I got to go out there and say, here's what we got to try and do. Here's some hopeful things. Here's some data. Here's some metrics. And yeah, man. So that's what I do on a lot of my quote unquote days off, is I'm actually just moving around doing political stuff.
Yeah, man. We are team no days off. When you got a passion, you believe, especially this time, you know, every 4 years, and, you know, specifically right now in this 4-year cycle is a really big deal. I agree.
Probably
Excuse
biggest,
me. Something I'm so fascinated about
in history,
sorry.
honestly.
Agreed. Yeah. So something I'm super fascinated about is Minnesota. Okay, so the politics of Minnesota is something that is super interesting to me, right? To explain it, if you're just a guy living your life, right? You're not heavy into state politics and you don't pay that much attention. You're like, okay, well, yeah, Minnesota's a red state. If I had to guess, I'd say Minnesota, Nebraska. I'm in Oklahoma, right? So we're kind of, you know, the chain, the Bible Belt literally is what they call us. And so you would think Minnesota is a red state generally. But not only are you not a red state, not only are you a red state with a blue, you know, center, you know, like a lot of places, it seems like Minnesota is extremely blue through and through. And as you said, there's a 50-year history of not even supporting the Republican candidate. Why? Like, what is that? You know what I mean? Does that break down to, is it demographics? Is it financial? Is it, because it seems like it's such a, you know, what I mean by self-sufficient state, like Oklahoma, like a state like New York has to have other people coming in. California, Nevada, these places depend on other people coming in. Florida to a certain extent to exist. So their politics go far and wide, more so than a Minnesota's or an Oklahoma's, quite honestly, right? Pro is in Atlanta. It's in Georgia, where Atlanta's a hotbed. Savannah, where he is a hotbed. So you expect like a Georgia, right? They're filming a million TV shows, and some of the biggest people in the world come from there. Not saying Minnesota's not a hot spot, but Minnesota feels more like a, you know, even though it's north, a Midwestern, down home, you know what I mean? Working on a farm, raise your family, you know, kind of place. And, you know, Kyle Rittenhouse, there's a million things that have happened in the past few years that make Minnesota as every bit of a hotbed as maybe a Georgia. Not even maybe, but as a Georgia. These places that aren't New York or LA or DC, that are Philadelphia kind of thing, that are now hotbeds, you know, purple states. Hopefully, we're, you know what I mean, to turning to red.
Yeah.
So kind of trying to set you up there, jump in anywhere and hit me, dog. Talk to us.
Yeah. So
don't let me overtalk you either. So sorry, I was just,
honestly, I know how to get you right.
Honestly, the thing that's fascinating about Minnesota, is I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, that there's these certain kind of like regional constraints that you would be like, this would be, you would think, prime for kind of like very right wing. You know, we're very rural. We have a lot of farmers, right? Like the whole 9 yards. But yet we have this slant. And I'll tell you one reason why. It's because we had a huge mining community, and we still have a mining community. And what's one of the things that are very prevalent among mines? Unions. Right. And so because the mining community is so large in northern rural Minnesota, and for those of that are watching, labor unions are a Marxist creation. Okay. They are a communist creation that believes that the power and actions of a collective group should override the actual rights of any individuals, whether or not you're a capitalist and you're the owner of that business. That's where this all comes from. The labor movement is a Marxist and communist movement. And so when you understand that, and you say, okay, well, northern Minnesota, we call it the Iron Range, has all of these iron ore deposits and other minerals. And so with all of these mining outposts being set up all throughout northern Minnesota, you combine that with the metro area, which already is going to lean to the left. And that is a perfect recipe for how you have Democrat control, because for the longest time, obviously, Democrats have been more associated with the communists and the Marxists and the labor unions, to the point that our Democrat Party in Minnesota is not called Democrats. They are called the DFL, Democrat Farm and Labor Party.
Oh
and
my
so
gosh.
they even were able to snatch up a lot of these farmers and the people that work in the farming operations to join unions. So like that's the real driver. Unions run Minnesota, and because unions run Minnesota, the Democrats have a lot of control. Now, I will say this: that has started to now change, and I think that this change has been really good, because the idea that unions, especially the way that the history of the United States is, we kind of had our heyday where it's like you go and you work one single job, you get a pension, and it's enough to retire on, with Social Security being supplemental. But as most of these Marxist creations go, it started to run out of money. And so they had to then start borrowing money against the general fund and asking the state to bail out all of these different pension funds. And then these private entities said, this is not feasible. It's costing us too much money. So as the pensions went away, the power of the union started to dissipate. And when people said, well, if the union's not giving me a pension, what good are they to me? And that's what you started to see. So just within the last 6 years, you've actually seen a shift in northern Minnesota to go from a very strong, every year a Democrat gets elected, to now it's Republicans. And Donald Trump won in the northern Minnesota, we call it the 8th congressional district, but he won by 25 percentage points. So now here's the weird thing, is that because these unions have lost their power and people are having to really go out there and say, well, the unions are not really helping me as much. Sure, you're still going to have people there, but now they're saying, well, what else can people do for me? And you're like, well, that's all we got for it. It's either that or the government gives you a bunch of money. And they're like, well, what do you mean the government? Isn't it my money? So the government's taking my money and then giving it back to me at a lower rate and all these different things. Like, yes, that's exactly what they're doing. They're like, I don't like that. I want to keep more of my money. And so now you've had this shift. Minnesota right now has, of our 8 congressional districts, 4 of them are Republican. So we're half. And like I said, we're starting to edge towards, we might have a flip. And personally, I believe that this is the year that we're actually going to flip a bunch of seats in the House to flip over to Republican control. I think that we're actually going to go for Donald Trump. Again, the first time going for a Republican in 52 years. But that's really what's at the crux of it. Like the rural communities have all came back to the right. And if you know your history, you used to have yellow dog Democrats or blue dog Democrats, where it was these Democrats that were very conservative on all these other issues. But when it came to labor unions, they were like, we support labor unions. And Republicans said, we're capitalist and free market enterprise folks, and we think that labor unions are bad because it takes away our power and our rights as individuals that own capital. And so that's the long-winded version of why Minnesota has been such a bellwether for Democrats throughout the years. And we've had our little, bouts here and there where you've had a Republican win from time to time. But yeah, the majority of the history of Minnesota has been Democrat control, at least since the early 1900s, man, since these labor unions came into existence in full effect.
So with the labor unions, having as much control as they have, and it's mainly because, they know how to sweet talk the employees, right? Mm-hmm. They know how to talk employee rights. They know how to make it sound sweet and beautiful for employees. What do you see, that the Republican Party, particularly in, Minnesota, can break in the mindset of the employees? Like, what do you see that can be done to actually move the employees over? Because again, as long as they're hearing the Democrats say, because this is how they win, oh, we're going to help you, we're going to get you here, we're going to do that. Like, we know they're not doing it, but at least they're saying it and making it look like they're doing an honest attempt. I think we have to deflate that balloon. So what would you see as if there's anything in practice that you guys are doing that can deflate that balloon that the unions are using to win over us?
Well, like I said, it's been a natural function and feature of, again, how these kind of leftist Marxist ideas, these collectivist ideas, it's just a matter of time. It's not about, is it going to stand the test of time? It's like, no, it's never going to stand the test of time. Collectivism fails every single time. And the only way to keep it in power is you actually have to be brutal and tyrannical. And so, again, naturally this has occurred. Now, the issue is that with collectivism, as you know, you will start to find other in-groups within your group. And then as the power shifts, basically the Democrats don't really care about the labor movement like they used to, right? It's all about gender ideology, right? So it's like you got to have either, critical gender theory, or it's about race, right? And so because these other areas are now requiring the attention of the Democrats, they are the ones that are more oppressed. And obviously right now with things between Israel and Palestine, the Palestinians are more oppressed than the Israelis are and the Jewish people are. And so with all of this movement, these groups are getting left alone. And now that they've been left alone, they say, well, if you can't do this thing for me, then what really is the purpose of our collective bargaining? So there's still kind of like this feeling. And this just literally happened this morning on Instagram. I had a guy that's like, the DFL and the Democrats in Minnesota used to be common sense. And I said, see, this is where you've been brainwashed. They were never common sense. They've always been collectivists. It's always about what can they do to gain the most amount of power, and they will gladly strip your individual rights. It's just you were under the belief that it was helping you. Now it's not helping you. And so what I encourage people to do, and some people might say this is stupid, but I actually believe in the power of individuals. I believe that in general, people will act in selfish interests for sure. But once you actually enlighten someone and you explain to them why it's more important to be an individualist versus being a collectivist, most people will say, oh, okay, so like collectivism is good when I'm in the in-group getting the benefits of the collective. But when I'm not in the in-group, then my individual rights get trampled. And so I can either hope and pray that I'm always part of that collective in-group, but the moment I find myself on the outs, I'm going to go to the individualist mindset and to the party that's helping individuals. And so to answer your question, Pro, it's just a function of like waiting it out and then educating people and opening our arms to them. If we just try and just be like Republicans that are just pro-labor union, that's never going to work, because again, the problem is the collectivism. That's the problem. And so I encourage people to think about an individualist mindset. I say, listen, what I would personally love to see is every single government union be disbanded. Let private individual companies decide if they're going to unionize, but I think that there has to be rules that don't allow for things like a secret ballot. I think it has to be an open conversation. And what I mean by secret ballots is like when you vote, it's a secret. But the way that labor unions are set up now is they can go around one by one and collect ballots with, instead of like saying, okay, everyone's going to vote today. It's like, I can go and harass you at your home and get you to sign a secret ballot. And so then the employer might not even know that his employees want to unionize. But that's the type of tactics that the government has had to employ because all of these unions are losing their power. And so for me, I just go back to that individualist mindset, and it's been working because again, when that power is lost and when they shift their, desire to, I would say, help these individual groups and say, you're no longer our favored group. You're no longer oppressed enough. So we have to move over to someone else. People are left saying, well, then who's going to represent me? It's like, we'll represent you, but we want you to empower yourself. And so that's what I would love to see. And that is truly what is happening, not just in Minnesota, but across the country. And that's why all of these former union Democrats are becoming Republicans. It's because their values have remained the same. It's just the union doesn't do anything for them anymore. And so they're like, okay, well, if the union doesn't do anything, then I guess I should look at voting for the Republicans that are going to be at least aligned with my values and will empower my individual rights and my protections of those rights.
Got you. I'll push back on one thing. And although I believe in individualism, we're a part, we both represent the Republican Party, which is a collective. If we push people to think, individual, unchecked individualism, right? If we don't really break that down to them, you're going to have a lot more people who are going to be like, man, fuck these parties, fuck voting. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I think because we gotta remember now, we're dealing with a very, very dumbed down society at this moment. They are simplistic beyond simplicity, right? So when we say certain things like, hey man, we got to get back, forget the collective. Let's not think about, what happens to everybody else. And I think that's the biggest problem with the Libertarian Party, right? Is that I hear them say too much. Oh, it's about individual rights, individual movements, individual. If this is making them happy and this is their liberty, then fine, let them do that. Just like, no, we can't necessarily let that happen, because if they individually feel like it's okay to groom children, well, then we gave them the green light by saying, hey, you should be an individualistic person. Right. So it's like in certain ways we got to check that, so I'll give a little pushback on that, understanding exactly where you're coming from historically and in the basis set of individualism. We got to watch how we throw that at people, because like I said, that Libertarian Party is going full up right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
wait,
go ahead, Mike.
Just real fast. This is where the average white trailer trash dude gets pumped up when he's passionate about. I have two geniuses here that are in it. So let me ask you guys a legit question on this.
Yeah.
Do either one of you believe that individualism in itself is a rallying point, that you can get a group together to fight for those rights of individualism on its face, or as a core principle?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. So, and I get what you're saying, pro 100%. And this is why it's so important to have these conversations. So an individualist still can voluntarily associate with groups of people that are in their best interest. The difference though between that, which is like, okay, I have a group of people that I'm voluntarily associating with, and we're going to do something together, versus a collective mindset is you are now part of the hive, you lose your autonomy, and now you only do what is for the benefit of the group over yourself. There's only one unit that you should usually ever do that for. Well, there's two reasons, 2 units. One unit is you do it for your family. You will sacrifice, if you're a good family man, like if you're a good father or what good mother, you would gladly sacrifice your own self for your child, right? But I would never just randomly sacrifice myself for the Republican Party. That's absurd. But in collectivist mindset, they will sacrifice themselves. They will take something lesser so the group can have a better advantage. Now, I will say that when you go to war and you're fighting for your country or something like that, or you're making a personal decision that I will sacrifice myself for someone else, I think that that is a noble and honorable thing, but you cannot force self-sacrifice. Collectivists force self-sacrifice versus if I want to jump into a flaming building to save someone, that's cool. But what if I said, hey, Mike, yeah, hey, it's your turn. You're up now. You got to go jump in that building. You're like, what do you mean I got to? Like, yeah, man, sorry, man. We rolled the dice and the collective action said that you're the guy that's got to do it. And you take away that, it's just like forced charity. It loses its control. But I think that's hopefully answers your question, Mike. And also to your pushback, pro, like, I think it's important that we just distinguish as individualists. We still have to come together and share certain goals and say, here's our voluntary association. But the collectivism is like, it's a bond that you can't break free of, because it's about what's the best for the group versus what's the best for you as an individual, that you have the same shared goals at the end of it. But you can break away from it the moment that it becomes too wild. In collectivism, you can't. That's why collectivists throughout history commit atrocities to keep people in check, because when people are like, okay, I'm done, they're like, you cannot leave.
yeah shit, I see that, and I'm sure you do too. I see it in the Republican Party. I'm like, the younger ones are coming in, we're looking at the old ones like, bitch, you tripping. Like, nah, it ain't even going down like that. We're gonna do it this way, and this is the way that it's gonna be done. And I really don't care about you being upset. How dare you have conversations with that Democrat? It's Republican no matter what. Bitch, you tripping. Like, if I can get in routes over here, even though they're there, and I can get them to look at the way that I'm looking and say, you know what? He may be on to something. I'm going to do it. And I don't care how you how you feel about it. And if you want to meet me outside in the parking lot, then you can meet me outside in the parking lot.
It's going down.
Meet me in the lot. It's going down.
That's right.
Look, I'm not saying our society is degenerating. I'm just saying we went from cash me outside to Haktua. All right.
Hey, listen. First of all, cash me outside and
I love that
Haktua,
girl.
they've all been around, you know. They just happened. We got camera phones and people willing to go viral these days. You know what I'm saying? But before there was a flip phone, it's always been a cash me outside, and it's about to go down. And I'm sure us three gentlemen have met a couple of in our lifetime.
A couple of Haktua.
So
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I've met a few Haktua 304s in my time.
You feel me?
Don't
Straight
give
up.
those women an air horn, sir. How dare you on a Sunday?
Hey, man,
let's
listen.
jump in, while we're being laid back. Let's jump in this chat. It's just me. Shout, my brother. Thank you for being here, a soldier, a loyal one. I think we got a brand new chatter tonight, the Urban Conservative. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming in. He's dropping some knowledge. He says collectively, no, when for one big reason they don't care about Minneapolis for the simple fact they are telling people to run independent collectively. So I think he's saying collectivism, no. And one of those reasons is that they don't care about Minneapolis for the simple fact they are telling people to run independent while probably promoting conservatives or a collectivism, excuse me. And he says the BOPU have already decided. Do you know what that is? Possibly?
Oh, yeah. So, yep, BPOU stands for Basic Political Organizing Unit. It's what we call like our local legislative districts. So like Minnesota, right? Most of our legislative districts, the majority are split out by county. But as you get closer to larger population centers, you have to split it by population. So then it's by legislative district. So whether that's a House district or a Senate district. And so for DA, I've interacted with him a few times. Nothing against his experience or whatever. But the BPOU is comprised of people that just show up on precinct caucus night. They get active and involved. Now, I love having this conversation with people because there's this idea somehow that you have to be some type of elitist or some type of like handpicked perfect person to be politically involved. And you literally don't. Not in Minnesota. I don't know about other states, but Minnesota, we are a caucus state. And that means that when we have caucus night, you show up, and as long as you live within that precinct, in that caucus, you can raise your hand and you can run for local elected leadership office. And then if you get enough of your friends to show up, which is what has happened a lot of times in recent history, where you see entire changes of quote unquote political power from one group to another, it's because you just show up with enough of a force that you literally can't be ignored because you're all elected. And so this is the thing, is that when you scale that up and you say, well, the BPOU decides, well, who's the BPOU? Oh, the people that live in the district that showed up and said, I want to be a Republican. And that power changes all the time. Like the guy that I was walking with in the parade earlier, there was the endorsed candidate who was not the sitting current candidate. And the crazy thing is that the current candidate in one of these legislative districts, he's like a good Republican, like quite literally. Like he's not like a squishy moderate, but he didn't show out on caucus night. And so this other dude that wanted to challenge him, they showed up deep and he lost. Okay. The current elected member, who's not controversial, doesn't have bad votes, isn't a rhino, lost by literally 50 percentage points on the first ballot. That's how bad he lost, because in Minnesota, if you just mob out on caucus night, you can take over a BPOU. But people don't want to do that. People don't want to take accountability or responsibility, saying like, okay, you can show up by yourself. That's fine. But you're one voice. If you grab all your homies and say, hey, let's go take this over, Minnesota literally allows that. And just to, not get off on another tangent, in Minnesota, our endorsed BPOU delegates all got together. We went to state convention and we said, we select Royce White to be the endorsed Senate candidate to run against current U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar. Royce White won because he showed up with a grassroots effort back at precinct caucus. And then he also did a really good job at convincing the delegate body. So to have someone like Royce White, who was the opposite of anything anyone would ever imagine as an establishment Republican, he won because he worked the delegates, he worked the process. And that's the thing, is like, don't just throw away your autonomy to say, well, the BPOU and the Republican Party decides everything. They literally don't. If you show up and raise your hand and you work hard and you're able to connect to people, you win, which is why I won the race that I won. You know,
Facts.
I like, just straight up,
Facts.
that's how it is.
Facts. Like, so we aren't like, we don't have as many people in the state of Georgia, I don't believe, as Minnesota has. So we aren't split up like that, as far as like, you know, you have your county, and then as you get to the state, I mean, to the cities where there's more populated, like it's split up by your legislative district. Now we just have counties, right? So we have the county party, then we have our congressional district, and then we have the state, right? But it's the same, you know, same scenario when it comes to caucus. Having your precinct people, having them, their delegates, they vote for you as your precinct chair, you know, your district chair, your county chair, your first, second, third vice. Like me, I'm the third vice for my county party. And it was exactly that. It was working the delegates, you know what I mean? It was being active and being in there. I'd say all the time, if there's a state primary that is a caucus, you can bet your bottom dollar that Donald Trump is going to take that primary in the caucus, right? If it's a closed caucus and it's the party deciding,
Right.
precinct project, they came in, as he said, they got their friends, they all got work, they got pumped, they took over their county parties, they took over their state parties for the most part. Like the MAGAs came in and wrecked shop when it came to the precinct project and getting involved. Now, if it's an open state primary, then it's a toss-up, because now everybody is voting. Dems can come over and vote. Independents can come over and vote. It's everybody, just your regular everyday. I don't deal with precinct caucus, but I do go to the ballot and vote voters. The people who got into precincts, people who got into the parties, they're essentially Trumpers. You still got your holdouts now. You got your never Trumpers that live in particular areas and they was able to secure their seat still. But like the everyday Joes that got up in there, oh bro, they're there for Trump. They're there for Trump. And that's what's happening. That's the shift that I know that's happening in our party. And as I look at other state parties, pretty much the same thing is happening. Like the MAGA Republicans, the back to fundamentals, the get rid of the rhinos, the screw the establishment people, they're getting in, they're moving, they're understanding the process, and they're moving forward. Not this year, maybe next go around I'll have the nuts to go for the committeeman seat. But
Oh, nice.
this time I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna stick at my third vice. I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna work with the Trump campaign inside the campaign. Shouts out to Trump Force 47, and gonna make things happen.
Hell yeah. Wanted to share this real fast, just so everybody knows. We're talking about Royce White here. You were in a parade with him today, correct, AK?
No, not with Royce.
Not with Royce.
No,
I'm just saying, I know you
it
mentioned
was a smaller local candidate. I was saying that with Royce,
Yeah.
he came in and he won the entire. He's the U.S. Senate candidate, endorsed candidate for the Republicans in Minnesota.
Like, y'all still got y'all primary, right? Y'all primary.
Yeah. We have a primary, but I'll be honest, we have never had someone yet successfully challenge the endorsed candidate and win the primary, at least in recent history. Our endorsement process really does matter in Minnesota. And again, you know, different states, different types of things. You know, right now in Minnesota, the Democrats don't care about the endorsement. If you have greater name ID, there's plenty of governors, like right now, our last two governors did not win the Democrat endorsement. They won the primary, and then they won the governorship. And so the primaries, you know, I should say the endorsement process for Democrats in Minnesota, they abandoned that ship a long time ago. And that does completely depower your grassroots operation. And then it's just about who can spend the most money and get the most name recognition. But in the Republican Party, so far, this is going to be a test. If you can raise a bunch of money, can you actually beat the endorsed candidate? And so far, the answer has been no. And so that's why the endorsement matters so much. And of course, here's what happens. When someone like Royce gets endorsed, you'll have all of these like squishy rhino Republicans that are like, oh, the endorsement process is just this small group, a couple of thousand, right-wing crazy activists that get together. Isn't it more fair if we open it up to the entire population? And it's like, listen, like, you don't have to sell me on a primary question. What you have to sell me on is, do you actually believe that the Republican Party, from a functional grassroots standpoint, matters? I think it does. Now, some states, they're like, who cares? Like, it's just the party doesn't matter, and you basically go for whoever has the best name ID, so you can just win. But that's in states like that. That's where you get these weird Republicans that, like, on paper, sure, they got the Republican certificate for an election, but like their values are not Republican at all. And at least in a process where you vet through endorsement, going through the caucus system, you actually have to show your bona fides to those groups of people when you seek that endorsement. And for good, better or worse, at least it empowers the grassroots, the people that actually have fundamental values in the Republican Party. It allows them to have a say of who that candidate is. Now, they still got to go on and win a general election, but at least they can go on saying, like, at least they represent, because they're going to have the R behind their name on that general election ballot. But yeah, man, I love party politics, which is why I'm committee man. So just so listeners know, there's only 168 national committee members. Half of them are female, the other half are male. And then that's actually not 100% true. So every state sends one man and one woman, and then the party chair is also the third vote. So that can be a man or a woman, doesn't matter. I was elected to be the committee man for Minnesota. And so I'm in the same body with Laura Trump and Michael Whatley. So I'm going to be at obviously the National Republican Committee convention for Donald Trump's endorsement for president. But then for the next 4 years, I'll be going to the different, meetings to represent Minnesota's Republican Party as the committee man from Minnesota.
That's very awesomeness, man. I was this close. I was signed up to be a delegate. I was gonna bust moves. I was coming, and then it was like, yeah. So about that $5,000, I was like,
yeah, dude, $5,000 out your own pocket, man.
Yeah,
that's
man.
Like you gotta be diehard now. Hey, listen, like you can find people that support what you do, and they'll throw you some loot.
Yeah,
because I listen. I'm gonna be sitting across the table as an equal to people that are multi-millionaires, and here I am, just a dude,
that part.
But I'm passionate.
Let me hold $50 till payday, player.
Yeah, exactly, right.
So, guys, real fast, super excited. Before we go, I want to take a quick pause here. Want to send a shout out today to ESQ. Sorry about that. We're going to start over. Want to take a second and send a shout out to ESQ Massage in Norman, Oklahoma. They do all kinds of massage, everything from medical massage, which is what I had taken care of today due to some carpal tunnel. Lady was able to get me in. Really appreciate that. Sarah Bailey Price is the owner. Support a local small business. Support a business near you. Great at medical massage. Also great at therapeutic massage. Has all 5 licenses and is ready to go for you today. That's ESQ Massage. All right, guys, cool. Sorry, this is my little live read. So anyway, please continue.
Yeah.
Shit, we got commercials in this bitch now.
Look at that. Moving on up.
Bro, she's amazing. When you come to OKC, we got you. So I got you set up.
Me no happy ending? No, I'm just
I get a live read, and this is what you do. I get a live read, and this is what you do.
Hey, man. No hawk tour. Hey, man, listen. It's with the boys, It's the boys. It's Sunday chill.
But the clients might be listening. Okay,
it's okay, man. Listen, bro. She listen. She's getting plenty of views right now. That's what I'm not even there. So it's all right. Okay.
You played the mic.
I love you.
Cause trouble way far away from shit all the time and just have fun watching it explode. I do.
Watching it explode like the Joker.
Speaking of causing trouble, but Minnesota, why such a hot spot? Like, I understand there's okay, so for where it is, right? Midwest, northern Midwest, like you said, a large mining, large blue collar community, a large rural community. But man, Minneapolis, I mean, it seems like Minnesota is one of the hotter spots currently for just what's popping off in America. In the same way that Georgia, that's what's so great is to have you two guys on here, and I'd love for either one of you to weigh in and you guys talk about it. Meeting of the minds. It's so interesting that you guys are in two of the real hot spots right now that are extremely purple. From I know you guys are going to go way red, homie, and fair. You know what I'm saying? But from like a different point of view, you're in extremely purple states, states that may not have voted Republican, districts that may not have voted Republican for a long time, but now really look like they're possibly going to. Caring national. So could you talk a little bit about that? About why you guys think your states are such hot spots, differences, similarities, and then what average Joes that are in it. Because, like you said work the delegates, pro. A few minutes, you were like, you have to work the delegates, and then I believe AK, you were like, yeah, that's what Royce did as well. What does that mean? Like to you guys, you know what I mean? Like if you're working on an engine and you're a mechanic, you're like, we got to swap this belt. I'm like, wait, what belt? Where? You know what I mean? So
let's kind of take two steps back. So a delegate is just a fancy way of saying someone that's elected to represent a group of people. So in the Republican Party, in the Democrat Party, in all parties, when you show up to what they call a caucus, and you say, I want to represent the people in my area for my party, then you're elected to be a delegate. And then there's, varying levels of delegate. So kind of think about it as like elected representative. You could be elected at city council. You could be elected to the county. You could be elected to a legislative district. You could be elected to Congress. You could be elected to president, right? So it's just varying levels. They have the same with delegates. If you're elected at the local level, you're just representing basically the people that live within like a 2-block radius of you. If you're elected at the county level, it's every Republican in that county. And then when you get elected to that level, then you go to the state and you represent your county at the state. So when you work the delegates, it means that you're going to these representatives that have been elected because they're the ones that are going to vote for your endorsement if you're running and seeking the endorsement for the Republican. So that's what working the endorsement process is, and that's what delegates are. Anyone can run, depending on what the rules are for your state. Like in Minnesota, if you want to be a delegate, you have to affirm that you're going to vote Republican in the upcoming general election, and that you intend to abide by the Republican rules and values. Some states, like we had alluded to earlier, they're open. It's like you can cross over if today you feel like you're a Republican, but usually to be a delegate, there has to be a little bit more of like a pledge or an agreement. Now, when you ask about Minnesota, why is it a hot spot? I do want to correct you because you said it twice, and I was going to correct you the first time. Kyle Rittenhouse happened in Waukesha, or not Waukesha, but in
Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin. Yeah.
But he lived in Minnesota, I thought.
No. So he lived in Illinois.
Oh, my bad. Never mind.
Yeah. And he came up into whatever. What's the name of the city that was in Milwaukee that had I can't remember, but whatever. It's like between Milwaukee and Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Chicago. But anyways, in Minneapolis, because we have this very, I say historically had this very heavy labor movement. Kenosha, there you go.
Yes.
So because we had a very heavy labor movement, again, that's like Marxism, like baked into the whole cake. So in Minneapolis and in St. Paul, they've taken that to the next level where it's like the true diehard, like we believe in like this Marxist leftist progressive mindset. And so that's the reason why it was kind of like, the pump had been primed. So we've had a handful of incidents of police officers using lethal force, and they end up killing a suspect, right? There's been a handful in Minneapolis, and most of them were black men that were killed by law enforcement that got really publicized. Now in the state of Minnesota, way more white men are killed by cops, but again, they're killed by other white cops or whatever, and it never rises to the level. But it's in Minneapolis, right? You get this light shined on it, and it's like, holy cow, what's happening? When George Floyd happened, that was the kickoff. And so you already had these forces in the city of Minneapolis, these political forces that had already been saying, they tried shutting down another police precinct when there was a guy that was killed a few years before. And again, it's kind of like all of these things had been building up and percolating. So the moment that George Floyd went viral, then that's why everything just lit up. It was just all this kindling and tinder that had been happening. Obviously, down in Ferguson, Missouri, right, with Michael Brown, you had already had kind of like, all of that kind of leading up, Black Lives Matter being empowered, a lot of these Marxists and progressives being empowered against the opposing law enforcement structure. And so that's why that happened. But to your point, Mike, it's because, again, this very strong labor line is connected to Minnesota, which again is directly connected to Marxism and communism. And in Minnesota, there is a relatively strong presence of SDS, right? Students for a Democrat Society, and also the Socialist Democrats of America, SDA. So even going back into like the 70s, Bill Weathers, Weather Underground, all these different, not Bill Weathers, Bill Ayers, Weather Underground, they had contingencies at the University of Minnesota. And again, it's because there's been this strong labor movement. And so what ends up happening is that when these labor movements are empowered and they are so directly connected to collectivism, which is directly connected to communism and Marxism, it's no wonder that you're going to find a bunch of Marxists and communists that are like, oh, I don't care just about labor. I care about like having like a color revolution or a cultural revolution, right? And that's literally what happened. And that's why Minnesota specifically has been so centered to it, is because they have the structure. Like the Palestine thing is actually ripping the Democrat Party apart in Minnesota. If you look back during our presidential primary for Democrat, 19% is either, it might have even been 20% of Democrats in Minnesota voted uncommitted to Biden. Wow. In Minnesota. It's that large. And so you have this huge faction, especially in Minneapolis, of these quite literal like social democrats, they call themselves, which are Marxists, that are like, yep, Joe Biden doesn't represent us. He supports Israel. And so it's actually ripping the party apart, which is another reason why we might flip, is those people aren't going to vote for Trump. They're not going to vote for a Republican, but they might not vote.
So what I'll say was totally, I'm going to start at, I only add about the delegate thing is that it I know here in Georgia, and again, it is in different states, it's different. However, depending on how your district and your county voted in the previous elections, right? The previous general election and the previous presidential election, that's where the number of delegates are decided for your area. All right. So there's a cap on the number of delegates. So I'll put that out there for the people who are listening, but everything else is essentially spot on. Why do I see especially Georgia being a hotbed, although there are, so with the Marxism, communism, the Marxist communist people, they're the ones pulling the strings, right? But the ones on the strings don't realize they are on a Marxism, communism string. We talked about this. I want to say maybe it was last week, Mike. We talked about it recently, definitely within the last week. People don't know what Marxism is. People don't know what communism. You can ask these people who are running these, like, okay, so you had the Patrice Cullors and all them. They came out and said they were trained Marxist, communists, whatever the case may be. But go ask somebody in your city, what's a Marxist? What's a communist? They're gonna be like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, I don't know what that is. But they don't realize that they're working for a Marxist communist organization. They don't know what Marxism and communism is. So we got to get to a point where we can like actually show them and train them, what it is and where it's leading them to. The hotbeds come because if you notice, the hotbeds are always in places where there is a heavy downtrodden minority community. All right. You got George Floyd. There's a lot of blacks there where he got killed. A lot of blacks in the area. They got pissed off. And they just moved. There was an action to move. They didn't give a fuck about a Marxism. They didn't give a fuck about a communism. It was the fact that they killed another nigga. I got to go out in the streets and I got to go make some noise because they just did this, right? And that's where they're winning at. They know that if I can spark off, what up, Jonah? I gotta spark
Jonah
off this situation where, what do we call them? Useful idiots, right? The useful idiots are going to get out there in the streets. They're going to tear some things up, and we're going to use this and their energy, because it's energy and their energy harvesting, right? We're going to use this energy to move our movement forward, and they have no idea. That's why a BLM is now in a situation to where, like, no, like, you still got some people who are blindly following them, because again, they don't realize that you can ask them how many houses the BLM people bought, and they'll be like, what you mean how many houses they bought? You know what I'm saying? Like, they have no idea what happened, but they do believe in the sentiment that Black Lives Matter, and that's where they get caught up in, because it's such a damn good slogan. God, I wish I would have thought about that shit first. You know what I mean? Because I would literally be rolling in some dough right now. But
Yeah.
it's something that, Black people in Atlanta, Black people in St. Louis, Black people in Minneapolis, they can all agree with that sentiment. And when you attach it to a situation of a George Floyd or Breonna Taylor, what's the motherfucker down the street from me? Ahmaud Arbery, right?
Yep.
When you attach it to all these situations, it's like, oh yeah, okay, not paying attention to the truths that was attached or why these things happen, right? And that gets me in a lot of trouble, but I'm like about breaking it down, right? Don't let these people get you emotionally charged, right? Find out what the truth is behind it. I get beat up right now for telling people, yeah, Breonna Taylor shot the police. What you mean Breonna Taylor shot the police? Yeah, her boyfriend, the dude who was poisoned as the boyfriend, whether it was the guy who was paying for shit or whatever dude was, he told the police. He told the police that she shot through the door. And then when he got in jail with the actual boyfriend, the drug dealer boyfriend that everybody knows was the dude, when he got in jail with him and the rest of his dudes, he changed his story because he didn't want his ass beat when he was behind bars. Now, any real nigga will tell you that's what happened. When you watch the body cam and he's like, it was her, she did it. Well, what kind of gun is it? What kind of gun? It was a regular 9mm. Bitch, a regular 9mm. That ain't your gun. That is not your gun. Because I don't know no man that owns a gun who's going to say it's a regular 9mm when he owns a pistol. I don't know it.
Yeah, he caught me with that one when we first talked. He's like, "What kind of gun you got?" I'm like, "I got a, I named the brand and the caliber." And he's like, "Exactly. You didn't say regular 9mm."
Yeah, no
I was like,
"No,
I would
regular
never.
9mm."
Yeah,
No.
like I
No
got an
such
S and
thing.
Dub and a Taurus. You know what I mean?
There you go.
There
you
I got
go.
one I want to keep and one I can throw in the river. You know what I'm saying?
I wanted to say too, though, Pro. Kind of in the same mindset, and you touched on it earlier. And this goes to answer your question too, Mike. Ultimately, Mike dropped off, but
he just put us up.
got you. Ultimately, the reason that you see this prevalence is because Marxists and leftists, right? Again, I keep using this term, and it's like, why do I keep saying it? Because this is at the core of the philosophy. But the idea is that there is an oppressed class or group that are oppressing another group of people, and what that characteristic is, especially in communities that are Black communities, is like, oh, as a Black person, you are being oppressed by the current system. And so that's why you get Marxism to kind of be ingrained, and they change it and they say, we just want equality. We just want, you just say whatever it is. Like, we just want to get rid of systemic racism. And you use these terms, and then the people that are quote unquote the oppressed say, yeah, you know what? That does make sense. I've felt this way. Like, why is it that these things are happening to our community? And you use that tactic. And like, again, like talking about Bill Ayers and Weather Underground, and you never let a good crisis go to waste, and understanding that this is all for the purpose of having a revolution. Like, people forget that a true Marxist, like the people that are organizing, I'm not talking about the people that, as you said, Pro, the useful idiots. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the people that are actually intentionally forcing things this way. They want a revolution because they believe whether or not it's because they just want power, because they are just truly dyed in the wool, they just are so delusional. They want the power. And the only way to dethrone the current power structure is through revolution. And that's why you had Patrisse Cullors say that she's a trained Marxist, because she understands. So if she came and just told the truth and said, listen, here's the way that things are. And in these areas that you have larger populations of people that are suffering from poverty, and you can't, look at what that issue is and why that's happening, and you look at what surrounds communities that have economic depressions, what does that lead to? It leads to more criminality. And so because there's more criminality in areas that are economically depressed, why don't we solve the economic issues? If we start working towards solving economic issues, and how do you do that? It's not by giving the government, power and control to create programs. It's by empowering individuals to their own interests. And when you start having this conversation, it's like, oh, then you peel back power away from the collective. But even when you look during the civil rights movement, the reason why the communist angle was so ingrained is because they saw an opportunity. The communists, the true dyed-in-the-wool communists, saw that they could maybe try and attach themselves to MLK, or try and attach themselves to Shabazz Muhammad and to the Black Panther Party movement. And they put their tentacles in, because they say, if we can empower them to overthrow the system, then this gap that exists and this vacuum is going to give us power.
Yep.
And that's really what it boils down to. So that's why you continue to see, anytime there's a group of people, whether or not the difference, or if you want to say stratification of those classes or those groups, exist because of intention or because of other features, as long as there's a group of people that you can say, it's not your fault that you are the way that you are, that you're in the condition that you're in, it's someone else's fault. Let's go after that someone else. If you can do that to any group or any population, then you will empower them to try and push and change and strategically deconstruct the system. And if you can do that, then you're going to power.
It happens on both sides, right? I mean, look at us right now, right? Look at the Republicans right now. It's the elitists, it's the deep state, it's the cabal, it's the people who's been here forever. And we can always honestly point out that, oh shit, it is them. They are doing this, right? The problem is we have to be educated in ourselves, right? And do damn good educating to the people, so that we can move to do it on the principles that we believe through our structure. All right, because the issues are always going to be there, right?
Yep.
Look, my dad is 76 years old. All right, can't nobody tell me racism didn't exist in the South when my dad got kicked in his ass for drinking out the wrong water fountain. Okay,
right.
They can't tell me it didn't exist in the South. They can't tell me that there wasn't a problem here, that the void needed to be fixed and filled. The problem is, right, people didn't want to truly fix or fill that void. They wanted to run away from it. They wanted to make excuses for it. They wanted to trash it. Look at us right now, right? This week we celebrated Juneteenth this week, and we had people, on our side who was destroying Juneteenth. And it's like, you stupid motherfucker.
It's crazy.
Juneteenth is your holiday.
It's American holiday. And that's literally, so I tweeted that out, right? I said, every red-blooded American should be happy and proud to celebrate Juneteenth. Because
somebody mentioned dumb white person. I'm back.
It was our promise. It was our government sticking to the promise that we made. And here's the crazy thing. Like, I want just like Inception, like blow your mind. And this is for you, Mike. If you think about it, the reason that racism was so prevalent in the United States for so long, it wasn't because of individualism. It was because of collectivism, an idea that your preferred group, your identity group, should be the ones in charge, and that there were other groups that were lesser. If you actually had freedom and the values that are supposed to be extolled in our founding documents, if you actually applied those to all of these laws, slavery wouldn't have existed. And also, like, government-sponsored racism and discrimination would also not exist. And that's what's so fascinating. Like, I go back to Frederick Douglass, and when you read his stuff, man, it's It's just crazy. Like Frederick Douglass should be like, you should have 4 years of Frederick Douglass when you're in high school.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Because
for real.
like from as part of your history lesson to understand that this man that was a slave, that then after slavery first was like, yeah, throw this whole bitch out. Let's get rid of the entire United States, because you got to remember the abolition movement and William Garrison, they're like, let's tear this bitch down and start over new. And then he got educated about certain things. He goes, wait. So these are the founding documents. And it's like, wait, we're just not living up to what's in those documents. And if we do that, if we actually live up to those, to the values of that standard, then we're not going to have any of these issues, because we're going to empower the individual. So listen, if you want to be a racist asshole, that's your freedom to do. I'm going to tell everyone that you are a racist asshole, and then people are going to make a decision. Do they want to hang out with the racist asshole or not? And then it makes it easier for me to not have to mess with someone. That's because I can have that power on an individual basis. But if an entire institution is forcing racist beliefs and policies, that's when you tear that down, which again, according to our documents, should not be in, like, it shouldn't exist in the first place. So that's what's so wild when I have these conversations with people, is that if you actually, again, break it all down, understand that what is happening right now is that on the right, there's this desire to want to have power. So they're employing collectivist mentality mindsets. And that's why, like HJ says, like the woke right, because they're using collectivism and identitarianism, and it's going to have the same negative outcome. I can't ever be in your white identity group because I'm not white. There's no way. I can't do anything to be in that group. Just like I can't be in a group that's only for Guyanese people. I'm not Guyanese.
Right.
You know, but I can be in a group of people that say, you know, hey, do you want to extol American values? Like, yeah, I choose to do that. Like, I want to be a Christian, or I want to be whatever. Right. And that's again, fundamentally, when you break it all down, if we just ever lived up to the values, and we still to this day don't even live up to them, then we wouldn't have these issues, man. And like, that's just the truth of the matter. It's all in our documents that you got to get away. You got to get away from this collectivism, group identity mindset. And every time a group falls into it, you will end up harming another group. And that's just the truth.
Well, and just to speak on that real fast, I wouldn't consider myself necessarily a scholar of Marx, but anybody who knows me knows I've studied Marx heavily. I've taken college courses. I've read the Communist Manifesto. I've read his other works. I'm familiar with his plays and his poetry. I was a Che Guevara t-shirt wearing Marxist at one time in my life. It took one simple question, and it made me so angry, and it changed my world. And that was, well, what about what he said about black people? And I was like, well, no, he was cool with black people, right? Because proletariat, you know, and screw them. And he's like, no. What did he say about black people? And I was like, I don't know. And it was like, you've never read what he said. He has writings on that. You've taken a college course and you've read several of his works. Why don't you know what he said about black people? And I was like, okay, well, let me look it up. And I was like, oh my God. And it unraveled everything. I mean, he was a despicable level. He was the kind of racist today that would make Nick Fuentes blush. I mean, he dropped in. But here was the thing you may not know. Just a side note about Marx himself. One of his daughters was married to a half Cuban man, and him and his associate were trying to break down the amount of black blood, but they didn't call black. They didn't call it African. It was straight up the N-word, right? He referred to all black people as that. He referred to them as subhuman, right? So they didn't even exist in his idea of Marxism. And if they did, clearly they were going to be on the bottom rung. But he considered them to be subhuman folks. And I'm just saying, like, we live in a society where Marxist influence and Marxist thought has infected everything, to the point of you think you are a kinder, more compassionate human being because you're taught that a lot of times, following those principles, especially if you come from a poor background, right? Yeah. You're taught you're better or a more conservative person, and it's better for everyone. And then you turn around and you realize this is a self-hating, disgustingly racist Jew who didn't bathe. Okay, the man had suffered from boils because just like Mao didn't bathe. It's some weird communist thing they do, right? Who was actually very communist, like bitterly racist, abusive towards women, never paid anyone, right? Had a horrible personal life. And the whole reason he created Marxism is because he didn't want to work. He was a broke poet playwright who basically couldn't make a living. So him and his dirty ass wife created Marxism, and they were filthy. People were like, when he was do interviews, they were like, we don't even want to smell this man. So Marxism, seriously, legitimately.
No, I know.
Away.
Yeah, that's what he's known for. Yeah, man.
So
we can break it down.
It's I'm just tripping because once again, if these people knew, sorry, I've got a fly in my room. Okay, so my office is in the bunker of my place, right?
That's
like
why I'm
farthest from any wide open door, any window, anywhere. I keep it completely like bunkered. Yet I got a fly in here. So anyway, sorry about that, guys. So if you see me, I'm not on drugs. I mean,
you want to know what's really funny though?
Sure.
So I'll just kind of give you this additional caveat. It tends to be, it's not a for sure 100% rule, but people that are more open to far leftist moral philosophies, such as Marxism and collectivism, don't really care about sanctity or cleanliness. And it's actually like Jonathan Haidt does moral foundations theory, and he talks about this. But like you'll see a lot of autocratic or fascist dictators that are the opposite. Like they put all of their thing in purity and cleanliness. So like Hitler, right? It was like a clean freak. He wasn't a slob, but that's because like he viewed like the others as dirty or whatever it might be. So it's just it's so interesting how that feature actually exists, and it's because of human evolution. Really, if you think about it, there's going to be a certain percentage of people that have a certain trait that's adaptive, and there's going to be another percentage of people that don't have that trait. And that's just kind of the way that evolution has worked throughout millennia with humans. And so humans have, again, with the moral foundations theory, that if you flip this switch or their brain is wired a certain way, they're not going to care about this. But what they find is that it tends to be that people that are like more open to far leftist ideology don't care about cleanliness at all. And people that are more open to right are more cleanly. So it's just kind of crazy when you understand that it even tracks back to Marx. Founder.
I'm a little hardcore. I'm a little fascist when it comes to clean. I mean, it's not a museum, my home, but I'm very like, you know what I mean? I don't want dirty dishes in my sink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want
Did you not see his room during the grifties, man? That shit was
I never went to your room, actually.
Oh man, bro. It's a fucking clean freak, bro.
Just man.
It's fucking clean freak.
Here's the
I
thing.
walked in the room, everything's like folded neatly, and everything's like lined up in order. And it's like I'm sitting, he's like, yeah, man, I bought you some wings from the spot. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm sitting there eating. It's like as we're eating, he's like cleaning up. It's like, oh, some juice drip from the drink right there. Let me get that up. I'm like,
hey, Mike, do you unpack your suitcase and like put all your clothes away, like in the drawers and all that?
I don't, because I don't trust the hotel drawers. So in my suitcase, and I put my suitcase on the thing where I can pull them out just like it's a drawer. So sure. Anyway, but look, man, it was just look, being a recovering drug addict who lived in filth and homelessness. And Jordan Peterson's first rule of all 24
clean your room, right?
Order. Yes, clean your room.
Yeah.
And it legitimately changed my life. I wouldn't be here talking to you gentlemen today if it weren't for Jordan Peterson, which is why I do what I do right now, legit. Quite honestly. I was sitting there broke in my parents' house. You know what I mean? Alcoholic, not as bad on drugs at the point, but just a loser. And I heard, Jordan Peterson about 6 years ago now, come on Joe Rogan and go, and then Joe Rogan was like, yeah, that's great. He's like, you don't even need money to join a gym. If you can walk it out there and walk, just do something to make your life better. And I literally got off my ass and walked, and then I got 12 rules to life. And clean your room just means that if you're not taking care of your shit, you can't expect anybody else to listen to you, to respect you. So you have to take care of your shit. So I do that. You know what I mean? It helps my brain. So, you know what I mean? Because I'm cracked out. Let's hit some of these chats. We're going to get right back into it, fellas. They've been dropping chats. We want to thank you for that. Big Troublemaker Jonah in the building. He's probably gone. We say what up for him, Crack. Got him on a farm. He's going to drop in on Tuesday for a call-in. Can't do video, but he can do audio. Looking forward to it.
Shit.
Drop in there. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
The Urban Conservative says progress has been altered because of who is a Republican. And then he's also said, he gave y'all some great shout outs. He said this: Robert made a whole video, and I showed how at the Capitol they don't care because we're in a trifecta. Do you guys know what that might mean, or is that something we need to maybe have him?
I'm not sure who Robert is. There's a lot of Roberts that I know.
Right. El Salt is in the building.
One time for my dog LS. What up, boy?
Leroy Jenkins.
Leroy Jenkins.
Thank you so much for dropping in. The Urban Conservative, one more time. February 7th, 2013, necessary paperwork was submitted, and the Office of the Federal Register officially recorded Mississippi's ratification of the 13th Amendment, making it formally complete. I believe he was speaking on Juneteenth there. And then Just Me says, this is facts. Just Me in the building. We love you, brother. He says, it's shocking that colors, etc., are Marxists. They have to know what he said about black people. I agree. I can't figure that out. But then if you know what Joe Biden has said about black people,
they don't give a man. What the bitches don't give a damn about black people. Them bitches goddamn gonna want to destroy the black nuclear family. It was on their website that they want to destroy the black nuclear family, man. So them hoes, man. Fuck them hoes. They need some MD. They need some MD 2024, 2028, 2032. Nah, bro, that's that MAGA dick.
Oh, okay.
That'll change the purple haired as fattest one. She'll be on a treadmill with right hair.
When I hear MD, I think of Mad Dog.
Yeah, most people think of Mad Dog, but no, it's yeah, you know. You put up a comment from the Urban Conservative. It was yeah, that one right there. It's because of this right here, brother. Look right here. Look at where my hand is, right? You see my hand? All right, I'm gonna move it, but keep your eyes exactly where my hand was.
Oh,
one more time.
Yeah. So the Gadsden flag, like there's it's weird. And Pro, you probably could speak to this more, but there's this entire movement that somehow the Gadsden flag is a racist flag.
Yeah.
It comes from the Revolutionary period. And it's like tied into like the whole 1619 project, and that somehow you have to believe that the founding of this nation was based on the fact that like black people as slaves were less than. And again, listen to Frederick Douglass. Like it's a very long read, but listen to what to a slave is the 4th of July. If you read that entire speech, he breaks it down. He breaks it down. He boils it down. How there's all these misconceptions that still to this day, there are people that believe that the founding of this country was racist and that it actually promoted slavery. It did not. And they'll use the 3/5 compromise. But yes, so that's why I have the Gadsden flag. Don't tread on me. I think that if you think that this country is great, you should, want to fly the flags of the founding of this nation. And I think Don't Tread on Me is like truly emblematical of the founding of this nation, all the greatness that's in our founding documents. Now, I'm not a person, and I can accept criticism. We can have conversations about what were the true intentions of the founders. Weren't they just trying to carve out a piece of land just for them and their people? Sure, there's a part of that is always true because humans are humans. But when you actually look at the way that the documents were written and the way that they went through the ratification process and which amendments were thrown out, like they were going to abolish slavery. That was in the conversation, but they knew that the slaveholding colonies would never support it. And so they had to throw it out. So
thus came the 3/5 compromise. But a lot of people don't understand that, the 3/5 compromise was just that. It was the compromise. Because in the beginning, and I talked about this Friday on the show, most people have never read the first two drafts of the Declaration of Independence. Yep. And in the first two drafts of the Declaration of Independence, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson both cussed the king slap the fuck out about slavery. Yep. How can you grab these people who've never done anything to you, don't know who you are, put them in a trade and sell them across the world, for your own gains? And then when we start saying that, hey, we're going to fight for our freedom, the same people that you took and put into slavery, you go to them and say, well, hey, guess what, friend? If you fight for me against these people, you can earn your freedom. But you're the reason to put me in the first place. But they don't know that. But like I said, go back to Friday Night Flights. I actually read that. I put them up on the screen. Yes. 1, 2, 3. The first draft, the second draft, and then the third draft. They was like, listen here, bro. You can't put that in this, okay? This is the economy of the world, right?
Yeah.
We agree this should not be happening. But the only way we're going to come together, the only way we're going to be able to create this is to leave that out and come back and visit at a later time. Thus came the 3/5 compromise. And most people don't know the 3/5 compromise didn't say, oh, you black, you automatically can't vote. Or you black, you automatically a slave. No, what the 3/5 compromise was you had the southern states who had the largest bulk of the population. If you wanted to count, if you counted the people for being people, they had the largest of the population because they were the slave holding states. What the slave states wanted to do was count them right towards the census as people so they could get house representation. But what they didn't want to do was allow those people, those slaves as they were deemed, to actually vote and make their own choices as to who represented them in Congress. They wanted them counted, but they didn't want to allow them to vote. So what the northern folk was like, oh hell no. if we let them be counted as the votes, and then the slave owner in turn put in the vote for each one of he has 1,000 people on his plantation, it'd be 1,000 votes come in for the slave master, and we know damn well that ain't gonna happen. So they had to come up with the 3/5 compromise and said, hey, at the end of this there's a sunset clause on this. We have to come back, we have to talk about this, and we have to get rid of it. Well, by the time that came around, guess what time it was, y'all? It was Abraham Lincoln time. It was boogie time. And then that's when we moved forward and moved into the Civil War, and things was what it was. So no, the compromise, it definitely happened, but it was a reason why it happened. And I as I got older, because again, they used it against me. They told me that, oh, it was a racist country and your black ass, they ain't want you here and XYZ. But then as I started reading, like I said, I got the first 2 drafts of the Declaration of Independence. It's like, oh shit, they really cursed out the king, like in their words, they cursed out the king and told him about his behind when it came to slavery. So how can you guys tell me they didn't even think about my black behind on July 4th when clearly in these first 2 drafts they literally thought about my black behind, So like I can't get down with that. I know that they were free men of color that were running around, they were doing things. I mean, if you go and look at everybody's navigator, right, who got them on this side of the world, it was colored people, majority of them.
A lot of them.
Majority of them, the navigators were colored. The very first treaty with the United States of America, the very first country to recognize them was the Moors, Morocco. The very first country to recognize them. So,
My man Chaz says, question, an amendment wasn't right about we being what the mother is compared to what the father is because of slavery.
Put that question up again.
Yeah, let's.
I'm guessing the question amendment wasn't written about we being what the mother is compared to what the father is because of slavery.
Yeah, I would need to know more specifically about what.
A little more context, Chaz, if you want. Yeah, a little more context if you want to drop that one in there.
I am not high enough for that shit.
Yeah, and again, and I again listen. Like, no offense to Chaz, bro. You're gonna have to listen to what is a slave. What is the 4th of July to a slave? Go and read it. I know you ain't gonna read it in less than 30 minutes because it's a very long read. Go and read that, and then get back at your boy. Because like basically the questions that you're continuing to ask are along the premise that somehow if you are a Black American, that you cannot at all be proud about the founding of this country. And that is just 100% false. It's just not true. There's a bunch of other reasons that you can, be critical, right? You can say, well, listen, at the end of the day, they didn't care enough about Black people because there weren't them. And if that's your case, then fine, but you can't change. That's human. That's like all of human history, right? People are going to look out for their group. But the ideas that were put into that document, into both the Declaration of Independence and into the Constitution, created a path that did not exist anywhere else in modern society. It just didn't exist. And it's like, if you can't understand that, like, it's wild to me. If the United States would have never broke away from England, do you think that England's progression would have been to where they are today? No, it would not have been. And so they're England got rid of slavery, but we're not like, take slavery and put it to the side. Slavery is not the end all be all. What about empowering individual rights? That's the key. That's the secret sauce to why all of this matters. The slavery aspect is important, sure, but also if you look at the founding of this nation, we did have free blacks that were never slaves, right? There was a bunch of them. When I say a bunch, go and check out some of the work that's done by Hotep Dubes. He loves diving into this history. And these are things that I already knew, but he's put together like great analysis, like going through and explaining all of these black American slaveholders and also landowners. Like, he breaks it down. Like, it's a lot more than you think. It wasn't just a one-off here and there, because it wasn't just about saying, oh, this person, they're of African blood and they are dirty compared to me. Did that exist? Yes, but that exists all throughout all of human history. Look at the fights between Alexander the Great, right, and Darius over in Persia, right? Like, they hated each other. Like, we're Greek. We're the Greek people, and you are dirty, Persians or whatever. Like, that has always existed. The Persians also felt that the Greeks were inferior to them. Like, this is just human experience. So, like, to take this carve out and be like, well, in this one case, we can't, be happy or proud of what the documents were trying to achieve, even though they fell short of the promise. And that's the key. That's why Frederick Douglass is so amazing. He talks about that. Like, he chastises the group, like, oh, you're so proud about the 4th of July, but yet you sit here and slavery exists. Like, why don't you hold yourself to this standard? Hold up yourself and the rest of society to the standard and the promise that you put in the great founding documents. And that right there, that's all, like, mic drop. That was the problem. We were not holding ourselves to that standard. And that's why, again, you can be critical about the analysis of, like, what did this mean, or find some niche about what some founding father really believed about this. But again, look at everything in its totality, and you'll realize that that's why it is amazing. That's why I fly an American flag. It's not just because I was born here. Like, I honestly, I could tell you, if I was born in another country and I got any knowledge of the United States, I would do everything in my power to get to this country and become an American citizen. Like, I fundamentally believe that.
And that's what's happening to a lot of people,
Yeah.
like, that's what, like,
be critical
everybody in those, everyone in those caravans aren't people who are just very, very horrible people.
Yeah.
There are people who are like, yo, if I get to America, I'm bumping Jeezy. Wait till I get my money, right? Like, they about to, they going in, So it's like, he's dead on point, saying, about people wanting to get here and wanting to be here and make the best of it. So, because they understand the fundamentals, they understand the foundation, they know what it means, because all they see is the words of what the United States is. They see the documents that's meant to govern it, and they're like, yo, shit, what? They can have guns.
Yeah.
They telling me when I can and can't have a kid, let alone I can't have a gun. Yeah. I'm going over there. Like, that's the
movement the hip hop dream. And the hip hop dream. I come from the streets to rise up to be a millionaire. Speaking of the dream, and speaking of hope and that kind of thing, I had something I wanted to pull up. We're going to do a griftception here. Okay. So we're going to watch a podcaster watching the news, but I really wanted to get your opinion on. There's two things I really wanted to talk to you guys about. This is one of them. The other one's a little more tinfoil hatty, so I figured we wait till a little bit later on. It has to do with the tiny hats and the red woke infiltration, but which is very Marxist in my opinion. But that's a whole nother thing, and I think it. We'll get into it in a second. But this, on the other hand, this is the griftception that we're about to enter into, right? Boom. There is Protocol's favorite podcaster. He hates him.
Yeah,
And I think
man.
because
Tim's.
he knows, and look, most people by now, if you listen, I'm connected to Tim Cast and personal relationships and friends.
I love
So
Shane Cashman. That's my
he,
dude. I love Shane. I love Luke. I love Seamus.
yeah.
I love Lids.
Uh,
Hi, Lids.
well, and there's he's got like 20 people that work for him now. And look, is he a blowhard? Yes. But do I understand him in a way? I do. And I think that until anybody starts as a dude skateboarder and then all of a sudden becomes the kingpin of $100 million political castle, it's hard to really understand his decisions on a level. Does he do everything right? No. However, this was a great segment that I was like, of all the segments, I'm hoping that the guys will watch with me. And El Salt is not a fan either. I know. I know. It is hard to be a white conservative podcaster, y'all. I'm just saying.
No, it's not hard to be a white conservative podcaster.
It
You
is
know, you just got to
extremely
be.
hard.
You got to be the right white.
You don't get to tell me
conservative
my experience
podcaster.
protocol.
Yes, I do. I identify for this moment as a white podcaster telling you that it's not hard because shit, they already call my black ass a wannabe white anyway. So shit.
Okay, well, and let me just hit this real fast. It's just me. He's a fence sitter. I stopped. I hear you, whatever. Anyway, okay, so anyway, I don't know, man. It was like, fuck you, don't know, Tim, grow some balls. Okay, it's not always about balls. Some of us are inquisitive. Some of us sit around and listen to people blatantly contradict themselves. Some of us sit here and listen to people that everybody else around us looks up at and goes, oh, they're so smart. And you're like, you can tell this person's never even talked to somebody in China. You can tell they've never really had a deep conversation. They may have talked to, but they've never had a conversation or studied the culture of this place because they're talking like they're an authority on it. And anybody from that place would make them sound like an idiot. So
can I tell you that there's only 3 people in politics that I listen to on a regular basis? Everyone else, I don't like, I know of their positions or whatever, but I don't consume their media. It's Hotep Jesus, Tim Pool, and then locally I got a guy named John Justice. Outside of that, I don't watch any other podcast or listen to any other podcast that has daily content that talks about politics because everything else I already have my best formed opinion on. The reason, like, I actually found Tim Pool like whatever 2.5, 3 years ago. I listen to almost every single thing that he produces, and I am a right-wing Republican. Like, I am extremely right-wing, but I like the way that he presents information. And like, honestly, that same with Hotep Jesus. Like, he and I disagree on a lot of different stuff. He doesn't like the jingoism. But I just wanted to throw that out there. It's just funny because people hate on Tim Pool that are on the right, and like, legitimately, I don't listen to Shapiro. I don't listen to anyone from the Daily Wire. I don't listen to Crowder. I don't listen to any. I've tried, but I just think their takes are garbage. They're just regurgitated nonsense. Whereas Tim's is different. I can't listen to Posobiec. I can't listen to any of that. It's Hotep Jesus, Tim Pool, and then my guy locally here, John Justice. That's it.
Sure.
I like Benny.
Sure.
I like Benny.
Right?
Honestly, Tim is more, and I think this is part of hanging around Shane, which is a good thing. If you're truly a journalist, you should always approach everything with a question, not a fucking decision. It makes me so angry. And even people that we all love, I'm telling you, the point is there's a lot of people out there that even get contradicted on their very own show, right? And I'm just saying the point is nobody's always right. And there's a lot of people that, my man here says he's too scared to say what he really thinks often enough for it to matter. Okay, it's just me, but let me hit you with this. There's people you listen to that say directly the opposite of what they really think to get money out of you and to get your clicks and likes. They're all over the internet. We deal with them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying anybody we know personally necessarily. I'm saying just they're all over. I know for a fact, and Crowder sue me, I know for a fact that man doesn't believe everything he says and actually believes quite the opposite to some of those things. Okay. And that guy's making way more money than us. He gets way bigger of a bag. Let's not lie. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Pasobo doesn't really, you know what I'm saying?
I call him Jack piece of shit.
He's very mediocre. Look, I know you guys don't like him. I like Benny Johnson. I do. I know you don't.
Listen. I've known Benny for a long time. We are in very close, similar circles. And I just like he.
Please don't wait. Pause. Wait. Please don't tell me he's not like. Okay, the reason I like him is because love or hate everything he says. He seems genuine to me. I feel like if I met him and had a beer with him, it would be the same guy. He talk a little shit. He's a conservative. Please don't tell me that's an act.
No. It's true. The problem is he is that conservative, but like he presents a version of himself that is dumber than what he really is, if that makes sense. Like he intentionally like tries to dumb himself down to hit the lowest common denominator instead of just being his real authentic self. So it's like he is that, right? It's just
Imagine,
I just dude, I just hate it. I just
imagine,
just
imagine
be
dumbing
yourself,
yourself down.
man.
Imagine dumbing yourself down because you understand that most people, when presented with a high level theory or concept, would make them feel stupid, ergo they would attack and not like you. So
I
you literally
know,
dumb shit. Imagine if you guys knew anyone that did that.
but I'm
Imagine if you knew a guy who played a dumbass on a podcast and here he is. Imagine if you guys knew anyone
listen,
that
man.
consistently
I'm
played
just saying, like,
stupid on purpose,
I
because I
get it.
know that if I
I get
brought any of my real shit to you, I would be met, because when I did, I was met with hate. Because here's the thing. To really, this is why I love you guys, because you
Yeah.
understand this, right?
Yeah.
This is why me and HJ get along, because he understands. You have to be able to hold two concepts in your head at once.
Yeah.
Most people cannot do that. Most people, good guy, bad guy, duh.
Yeah.
No, you have to be able to hold two concepts in your head. Conservatism at its core is good. Republican Party currently is not great for black folks and needs to be criticized, right? So the thing there is that you have to be able to hold both of those ideas in your head, and most people cannot do that, okay? White conservative man, right? You are enemies. Get you out of party. You don't have my same interest. I do this to prove that that's bullshit, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah.
you have to be able to hold the idea that a black man is going to talk to me about things I don't want to hear, and talk to me about ways he has struggled or is struggling currently that my party that I stand strong with isn't standing with him on. And he's willing to stand strong with me and my party if I can get that through my fucking head, right? That the needs are different for everyone. And while no party should cater to any one person's need, because that's the lie of Marxism, we can broaden the scope and understanding. We can take the hundreds of billions of dollars put into our federal government every year, and we can either put some of that back in our pocket, which is good for everyone, or we can use it for the things that the people really want it to be used for, right?
Like, I look at it
So-
like this. So when because you like, we all wear shoes. I'm pretty sure all three of us have closets with shoes in them, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Now, we know that we need shoes to get out here and move around in the world, correct?
Yep.
I am not finna go buy a closet full of size 13s and give them to you, AK, and give them to you, Mike, right? I'm not going to give you both 13s because I don't know that you both wear size 13. You know what I'm saying? Might get lucky and we might have the shoe size and it might fit you and it may be good. But me giving you a size 13 shoes because, hey, you need shoes and this party, this is the shoe size that we have and this is the shoe size you're going to wear. No, that's not it. Okay, brother, you need shoes. What size shoe do you wear? This is the size shoe that you wear. Do you need a 13 wide? Do you need a 13 long? Like what is it? Because we want to make sure that your feet are protected, you're taken care of, and you move forward. That's where we have to get in our Republican Party. I feel like our Republican Party, they're getting to that point where they understand that there are different shoe sizes, especially as we come in and we've been making shoes ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Now we just need better quality material. Now we need, a bigger machine behind us to get the better shoes made. Now we just have to show them, no, we know how to make shoes. We just need a better quality material. We just need the machine behind us to make these things happen. And we're coming in and we're going to make this shoe conglomerate to make sure that people get their shoes like they need their shoes. They're custom fit to them. And it's like, we're not finna like, we make sneakers and boots. You know what I mean? We're not making moccasins or we're not making Gatian slippers. You know what I'm saying? We're not making those. This is what we do over here. And that's just what I just wanted to get it on that because that's where we are in the Republican Party, man. It's
and
like
then you
they try
got
to
liberals.
one size fit all.
Then you got liberals going, if you don't give me size 27 clown shoes, you hate me.
Yeah. Like, wait a minute, do you have a size 27 foot, bitch? You stupid.
Yeah.
But only we're gonna get into the grift section for my boy
Yeah,
Tim.
just a
But
second.
I just wanted to say, and my problem is not that, because even now there's times where I listen to Tim. I think I sent you a Tim Pool clip a couple of days ago, Mike. Even
Yes.
though I can't stand the guy and it's because I know, right? I know that he was shown what I shown Shane, right? I sent it to Lids, you know what I'm saying? I tagged him in something that I know he's seen because other people around him was commenting on it. It's like, while he said, oh, there's no definitive proof that anything really happened in the election. And I'm like that one Will Smith meme where he's like, here it
Hey man,
is.
no, I hear you, and that is fair, and you are allowed your opinion on anyone. But I know for a fact there are people you don't have near as much of a problem with that say things way more antithetical to the core of who you are and what you believe, and you're totally
Mhm.
okay with that on a daily. And at least
I
Tim has
don't
come
know if
out and
I'm totally
recanted.
okay. I don't know if I'm
You don't
totally okay with it.
you don't display the hate and anger towards them ever
But
that you're currently displaying towards
well,
Tim. Now,
they're
wait,
they're
let me
nowhere
finish.
near as big as
Now,
Tim.
but okay, fair. But now they have recanted. Tim, after our show with Shane, the very next day, he was like, I guess dead people. He literally said his morning segment, Monday morning, after our Sunday night show, he said, I guess dead people are voting. There's no other way to explain it. And he's like, I know I've said this before, but I've done some research now. And so, love him or hate him, man, I stand before you right now of a guy who will say one thing and come back and go, I did more research and I look at it differently. I did not have all the info before me.
I
I
need
believe,
that on IRL.
okay. Well, I mean, he recorded it and brought it to the world. I mean, it was his morning show.
No,
His
no, no.
by far most watched
I'm,
shit, but yeah.
I thought I'm pretty sure IRL is more watched in the morning.
I'm talking about his personal, but he gets way more replays on his single shows, way more replays. IRL really doesn't get much replays. I know, because if I was going to stream, I've looked into stream sniping. So, but anyway, it's a whole nother story. Anyway, all right. So, guys, about a 3-minute clip I want you to see of this, and check this out, and then give us your opinion on it.
Is this IRL? Or is the morning show?
This is one he released today.
4 years. It's amazing. We got the video clip here. The Daily Caller has posted it. Let me get this going for you guys. Listen to this.
CNN senior data reporter Harry Enton is with us. So where does the race stand among African-American voters right now?
Yeah, I keep looking for this to change, to go back to a historical norm. And it simply put has not yet. So this is the margin, or Biden and Trump among black voters, compare where we were at this point in 2020, compare where we are now. At this point, look at this. In 2020, Joe Biden was getting 86% of the African-American vote. Look at where it is now. It's 70%. That's a 16-point drop, John. And more than that, it's not just that Joe Biden is losing ground. It's that Donald Trump is gaining ground. You go from 7%, single digits at this point in 2020, to now 21%. And again, John, I keep looking for signs that this is going to go back to normal, and I don't see it.
All right. I think that's good right there to pause on. Historical. These are historical numbers for Trump. Mainstream media, is not, I mean, we got that, but good Lord, this should be something that's headlining, right? That's not a picture of people in a church with numbers on them going, they lied, look. But the fact that historically he's changing what looks like the face of the electorate. What you guys being heavily involved in the electorate and not white. What is your guys' opinion on that? What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, so I made a video last night. I just haven't been able to cut it all together. I've edited it down, but so I put content out on my socials. TikTok is, for whatever reason, still a place that I have the largest following, but it's been super stagnant. I'm not growing, I'm not shrinking. I've just been in this weird lull. But I still try and put out content, at least three to 5 videos. And so I caught this story reading the news, because what I do every day is wake up in the morning, do my morning routine, and I read news stories for about an hour to hour and a half. And I just take screenshots of different stories, and then I try and kind of formulate, here's what I want to talk about, make a video. And so I broke it down that there's all of this historical data, that all of the norms are being shattered, and that this could be truly a landslide election if these trends hold up. Is it just a mirage or is it a trend? But there's one pushback, and this is going to kind of be, it's funny. It's this counterweight. Even though you have more Black Americans that are now saying, I am open to Donald Trump, I am leaning Donald Trump, than you've had in the past 60 years, old white people over the age of 65 are leaving Donald Trump and jumping over to Joe Biden. And this is what's crazy, is that in 2020, when you looked at the polling data, the exit polling data, Donald Trump did gain with especially black males. He gained almost 12 percentage points from 2016 to 2020. Want to know who he lost? He lost a bunch of older white voters. So this is what's crazy. Donald Trump from 2016 to 2020, if again, you're looking at exit polling data, he gained more black and Hispanic. So he grew his non-white voter base significantly. I'm talking about anywhere from 8 to 10 percentage points, but he lost old white people. So how is that? Like, just imagine, like, put this in your brain and comprehend. And the same trend is happening, that when he's more appealing to non-white people, old white people are like, oh, got to go with the Democrat. It's just crazy, isn't it? It's wild.
That's exactly what's happening, man. And then you have also, you know, the Benny, you've had Benny Johnson, you've had Jack Posobiec. It's crazy that they come out and they say stupid things out of their mouth, like, I don't want this guy flying my plane, you know, or this person, like that hurts the ones who are coming over, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm not going to vote for his people, because
what do you think that number would be if they didn't do that? That's the thing that blows my mind, dude.
Yeah,
these numbers might be 30-40%, and it's just like, it feels like they're sabotaging. It's crazy. I don't get it.
So
hey, AK, I know you're on a
I didn't mean
tight
to cut you
timeline.
off there.
No, just real fast. I know you're on a tight timeline. Do we need to let people know where they can find you and send you on down the road? How much time do you, or do I have?
Yeah, man, I'm
Okay,
already
cool.
already way long, and
Sorry.
you guys get first respect, because, you know, Hotep Nation, man.
Always. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right, so you can go to my website, akkamara.com. You can sign up for my, basically like an update list. I'm not producing a newsletter quite yet, but you'll also be able to connect with all my socials. But that's my name, AK Kamara, just all one word, .com. And you'll be able to connect to all my socials there. I'm either AK Kamara on my socials, or I'm real AK Kamara, because apparently there's some jackass that took AK Kamara on, you know, like X and a few other platforms. And I don't even know, it's like some African dude. Like, my dad's from Sierra Leone, West Africa. And so Kamara is almost like Johnson. Like, it's very, very common. So some dude jacked it, and he hasn't tweeted in like 9 years. It's insane. But akkamara.com is the best way to find me. And hopefully one of these days soon, I can start jumping on the Griff Report, and even jumping with you guys in, you know, and being active in the chat, man, because I love doing that.
Absolutely,
man. You got to come back and give us some time. Fair enough.
Yeah. No, I want to come back and give you the full, you know, give you guys your full show for sure.
Yeah, there's stuff we didn't even touch. We didn't even scratch. Yeah.
On the way out the door, I just want to know, Thursday, big day.
Yep.
What are your predictions?
Ooh, so I'm actually a bit more like pessimistic when it comes to like Donald Trump just dunking on Biden. I think they're going to have this man hopped up on every drug concoction you can imagine. And the bar to looking competent is basically all Joe Biden has to do, and he wins the debate, regardless of anything that Trump does. They've set the bar so low that if he just doesn't fall over and, like, you know, crap his pants or like go, or do anything like that, if he doesn't do any of that, he wins the debate, because everyone's expectation is that he's going to be out there like fumbling and falling on the ground. It's like, it's what the Democrats have done. Now, I think that Trump, there's one path to victory. If he doesn't talk about himself, if he takes everything, if everything he talks about is about getting this country back to where it needs to be, if he doesn't do any grievance about how he was screwed or wronged, if he doesn't do that and he sticks only to what Joe Biden has done to destroy this country, then he can overcome the low bar that's been set for Biden. And that's my analysis.
Absolutely.
That is fair.
Sounds fair.
Ladies and gentlemen, akkamara.com. We got it up in the chat.
Peace out, man. Hotep and Build.
A true
Hotep and
statement.
Build,
We love
man.
you, Hotep and Build. Hotep Nation to the rescue. If you're in Minnesota, vote for this man. Thank you so much, guys. That was awesome, bro. That was awesome.
Yeah, man, it was big, man. Wish it could have went longer, you know, but
I know. I'm
things
like, I have
happen.
so much. Yeah, yeah. I'm like,
Life be lifing.
I'm like, if I would have known his time was that tight, I would have hit more. You know what I mean? I'd try to get through stuff quicker. But there's so much value there, and it's so he's like the North version of you. You know what I mean? In that, you guys, I feel like have a similar amount of passion. You know what I mean? You're both high level intelligence. I think you probably are a little closer to the ground, and he's maybe a little closer to the office. But that's what
Mhm.
we need. You know what I mean? We need people that can do both. But by the same token, you can rock the office, and he is very effective on the ground. We saw that at the Grifties. He did a great job there too. So
Mhm,
that was
mhm.
awesome. Okay, so now that he's off, Fuego says let Biden wreck himself. I agree. Actually, my thought on that was questions. That's how you know I love this shit, right?
Yeah.
With a guy that is that feeble, right? Like you going against somebody, you're probably going to whip their ass in a ring, right? But if people like that guy, you're a bad guy to them. You know what I'm saying? And you're already coming in as
Mhm,
the bad guy, right?
mhm.
What if he's like, Joe, I wanted you to do good. I wanted you to do Joe. The policies that worked are the ones you've implemented from my, you know what I mean? The wall,
Yeah,
Joe. You
yeah.
put my policies in. Joe, inflation was out of control until you put my policy. Joe, make it make sense. Help me, Joe. Help me understand. Because he can't. And Trump
Mhm,
knows that. So just keep
mhm,
questioning him. Don't own, you know what I mean? Keep putting it back on him. Make him defend his shit because he's not able. He's not mentally
mhm.
able to break down his policies as good as Trump can. And then Trump's not an asshole for asking him questions, right? I'm not making any definitive statements, so you can't tie me down. That's that mind trick, I would think there. So, what do you think?
It could definitely work that way. I think that if when we came in, the country was doing bad. It was going down a very horrible, very, very horrible path. We wasn't manufacturing. We weren't making anything. We were last place in energy. I took us from last place to first place in energy. As far as energy producing nations, we started building home. We started having manufacturing here. Things was going great, and then we had this horrible China virus come in. Because he's going to say the horrible China virus, right? We got this horrible China virus come in, and it straight up closed our economy. It shut everything down. Now, Joe, you could have opened it back up as it was and continued to build on it, but you didn't. All right. You removed the policies, and everybody see now. If we officially take 2020 off of the table and just look at first 3 years versus 3 years open versus 1 year closed versus 3 years open and 1 year closed, because both of them had a year of everything essentially being closed. Who did better? Now, everybody can say, oh, Joe Biden started more jobs. Well, no, he didn't. He opened the country back up. And all the jobs that were not open, all of the amusement parks, all the restaurants, all the hotels, all everything that was not open to the public was now open to the public again, which means all of those jobs came back. So if we took all of those jobs that were already here prior to 2020, look at the ones that came in when he opened up and removed those off the table, Joe, you're still in the negative with jobs. You got to beat them up on those particular things, and they're going to come at him with, "Oh, well, look at your handling of of COVID-19." Well, my handling of COVID-19 was actually spot on, perfect. All right, if we look at Operation Warp Speed, and again, guys, go on my page. It's on my Rumble page. It's one of my very, 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 very early Rumble videos. All right. I went in on COVID-19. It's about not even 30 minutes long. And I went through Operation Warp Speed. And while everybody thinks of the vaccine, there was a lot more therapeutics. There was machines that was created. There was a whole lot of stuff that was put in play via Operation Warp Speed. But the only thing we think about is the vaccine. And you know why the only thing we think about is the vaccine? Because we still got a bunch of baby boomers that are still alive. Damn, baby boomer just put a juju on me. We had these baby boomers who are still alive who was not going to leave their home if there was not a vaccine. And you see those baby boomers every day because they still wearing masks. So we had to do something to make them comfortable so that we can be out here. He never mandated it. He just created it and put it on the shelf.
Yeah, he gave an option, which is
It's an
what
option.
we believe in that they don't believe in, which is giving people options. Live your life the way you want to live your life. It's funny that he was talking about Thomas Sowell because you know, I had a very long conversation with a great dude, very liberal dude, but great dude, and he was willing to talk to me for hours, and I blew his mind. Literally today I was having a conversation with someone and I said, honestly, save for slave era presidents, in modern history, Joe Biden is, in word and deed, the most racist president we've had in modern era. And I feel like I can back that up, from sponsoring the no busing school bills to, you know what I mean, to every word he said, to sponsoring the anti-crime bills, what, you know, and she was like, wow, I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, it's all there. You didn't know because they don't tell you. In the same reason you didn't know there were other options for COVID. Because look at it right now, truthfully, numbers wise, we might get fried for numbers wise, people who stayed unwaxed, if you will, you know what I'm saying? They have a lower chance of ending the life cycle for themselves. Meaning, if you get that and the B's, the after the, you know, part B and part C and part D, if you got those, you have a much higher chance of stopping your life cycle. Period. So, just a thought there.
Suddenly.
So, okay, so I think I've uncovered some. Are you ready for some deep shit, man? I think sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Okay. Just real. I know it's a tight one. Man, here's the thing. Friday night flights, man. You were like, man, I'm doing a tight 2 hours because I got a long weekend.
I wouldn't. No, I ain't tight. I just finna say, listen, I'm gonna go pay my water bill.
Oh, word.
Yeah. I need to pay my water bill.
You pay your water bill? What's that like? What's it like?
Relieving.
You don't tell them to hold off because water is the last one they shut off. You know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I just need to go pay my water bill, you know.
And no one knows what exactly. Okay, so here's my thought, man. Okay, so I'll title this thought Marxist infection, just like disease infection. Okay, now I want you to think about our new thing that we're dealing with that I think is hurting us is you mean the graphene oxide clutch shots. I've never heard it called that, but pew, 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 pew on that one. Yes, that's a good name for it. The fact that I got a new name for it is amazing. What up, Jack in the building? Love you, brother. Okay, so red woke is what we're dealing with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what is the change? What was woke? Okay, so one of the big things with being woke was being pro ACLU, or the people that run the ACLU, pro tiny hat. We'll say that, okay? So a big deal was being pro tiny hat, and they were against all things conservative, right? And we were attacking them, and you know what I mean? It was the Republicans that were bad. And
that ain't the real woke. That's that to be fair, that is the gentrified, colonized woke.
Yeah, you're right. No, absolutely. But what I'm seeing is now the Marxist style of woke is now infecting our side. But also look who we're siding with and fighting for and telling people to get off college campuses and stop protesting now. Right? We are on the side of the ACLU now, if you will, which we are not. But you see what I'm saying, right? Do you see what I'm saying here?
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting together the fact that Marxist infection has to do with the group that because I was doing some studying last night and someone was talking about gay oppression in because it started with the whole gays for Palestine thing and how that was wacky. And then someone was saying it was worse in Israel. And it was like, maybe it is, maybe it is. So I studied it. If you Google gays in Israel, actually what I was Googling was homosexual customs in Jesus' time. That's what I was trying to study. It was a different thing I was trying to study. But even if you Google that right now, it will pull up literally 20 sites on how Israel is the most gay-friendly country in the Middle East by far. by far the most gay friendly of any place. And they like, come here and we got discount packages and all that. So I just find it interesting that part of that, I think, has
maybe
to do
that's
with why is it? Because I'm not against people loving who they want to love. I may disagree, but I'm not going to stop you. So, go live your life. That's not what conservative principles are founded upon. And I'm not going to put my religion on you. But I can, try to have a country that lives with my principles, right?
there are a lot of and it's funny, you mentioned I'm not going to put my religion on you. There are a lot of Republicans who are truly trying to put their religion on people. And look, I started, I'm a Southern Baptist. That's where my foundation is. However, I believe in a lot of principles and respect a lot of principles from a lot of different religions because they all truly intersect, right? Um, but there's like I'm watching the whole, yeah, we all got freedom of religion, but God. And it's about God because the founders was about God and God. So we need to teach Christian values in school. We need to teach Christian values here and Christian values there. And it's like, we just teach the values. Okay. We don't have to attach because we have people of different religions. And if you keep attaching your religion onto it instead of just saying these are the values, we're going to have an issue. We're going to have people who are going to want a war. I just, as you say, not pushing your religion on people there. I'm just, it happened. I seen it yesterday at the opening of the Trump Force 47 office. You know what I'm saying? There was someone there who was pushing it hard. I'm like, okay, guy.
Well, and I have no problem with anyone's religion in that. Look, if we're going to dig into it, I am a Christian. I'm an unashamed Christian. If somebody says, gun to my head, you're in a totality, you're not, I'm like, no, I'm a Christian. If you got to kill me, that's fine. Because the way I believe, I was told that might possibly happen. That's part of the deal when you sign up for it. I'm good with it. You know what I mean? So I'm good with that. However, I absolutely believe that we have to have Muslims. We have to have Buddhists. We have to have folks of all different walks of life to inform our walk of life. And Buddhism helped me become a better Christian. And my Muslim brothers held me down when I was trying to quit drinking and I needed to hang out, kick it, wanted to watch fights. You know what I mean? I was able to kick it with a group of brothers that were partying, having a good time, smoking the shisha. You know what I'm saying? But they weren't drinking alcohol. And that was a big deal to me because I probably would have went back to drinking, now over 4 years ago if it weren't for my Muslim brothers. So El Salt is saying, wow, he probably disagrees with a lot of what we're saying. Fair, El Salt. It's just me says it started raining here. I don't know where. I think you're up north. I think you're in Minnesota area. It's just me. I'm not sure. But wherever you're at, Homeboy mentioned something about flooding in South Illinois. Our guest AK. So yeah,
man, shit, that man, that's what happened Friday. If you notice, when the sound went out and I had to cut the commercial, right?
Yeah.
It was raining crazy, like, and something happened with the power. I had to go flip the box. Like I was running on the power of the laptop at the time.
We're in the Oklahoma summer, man. If you look at it, 99, 99, 99, 101, 99, 99.
Yeah, that's where we are. That's where we are right now. So, like it was, we went out to eat today, and I looked at my phone, and I was like, 97 feels like 104. Dang, that's a big difference from 97 feels like 104. My goodness.
I think, man. By the way, the Pennsylvania mountains are some of the most underrated and most beautiful place in the world, man.
Keep going. I'll be right back. Keep going. I'll be right back.
Yes, sir. Pennsylvania is nice. It's just me. Once again, one of the most beautiful places. I got to tour through there, Poconos area, man, and I loved it. After we're done with our 20-year next year, we're not sure where we'll move, but we're definitely going to get away from the coast. That's facts, man. We're always down to kick it with you here. I'm in Oklahoma, man. It's where the Hotep White Boy hangout is. You got Jay Pylon here. You got me here. Also, Pro has some land that we might be looking to build build some spots out. So we never know, man. 20 years in, it's just me. Congratulations, brother. And thank you for your service. Thank you. Would love to talk to you more about it. I seems like you're the kind of guy that doesn't want to come on a podcast, but if you do, please message me. I'd love to have you on. You know what we do here. But I think, maybe you're back in the scenes guy. I don't know, but all good. Jack says, makes me homesick. It's dry heat is still effing hot. Yeah, man, that dry heat is that sauna heat. You know what I mean? You burst into dry flames. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. See here, he lives in a 2A sanctuary county too. Absolutely got to have it. Blast Furnace Heat was saying, oh, yeah, man, that overseas shit. Absolutely, I bet. So, I can't do any of that while still at duty. You're right. Yeah, man. Absolutely. I'm not a look at me sort of person. You're more of a it's just me kind of person. And I could be wrong, but what more information do I have to go on? You know what I'm saying? So, see, I'll go comedy. This is the serious show. And if you leave me just talking to y'all, I'll be a clown. It's what I am naturally. So, but anyway, yeah, man. Okay, so there's a couple things I gotta go over with you. First one, you got a 47 thing happening. A new thing happened in the Republican Party that while it may be in one precinct is going to have national ramifications, and that's you being a key role part of a new office being opened in Savannah. Can you tell us a little bit more about that one?
Sure.
Hold on. Let me do my best and pull. Democrats are outraged because Dylan Mulvaney doesn't show up at Biden's speech.
Sure. So, there was a new office. So there's this new force, right? That is coming up. It's actually happening nationwide. There's many offices opening up. It's Trump Force 47. This is Trump's on the ground, get things done team, right? Trump Force 47. This is the campaign team. We just opened up a local office here in the Chatham County area. And they're opening up, as I said, nationwide. There's a few of them that opened up across the state this weekend as well. And what it is to get out the vote effort. It's to get hit in the streets. It's the groundwork. It's the grassroots. It's his campaign team truly getting out there, letting the work be known, what was done the first time and what we plan on doing this time. So as a member of the local Republican Party, I am active there to make things happen. Excuse me. We're working on, there'll be other initiatives. As you know, the Black Americans for Trump is kicked off majorly. It actually kicked off the weekend of the people's so that was last weekend in Detroit. It kicked off the Black Americans for Trump. We got big things coming from there. We're working hard. It's just a branch that is working hard to get the work out and the word out about Trump and to get people moved over and wanting to vote for Trump come November. And not only Trump, but true conservative officials that are on the ballot, because we need more conservatives, more Republicans up in DC so we can get the work done. Without conservatives in the Senate, without conservatives in the House, this shit don't mean nothing. So there's that.
Hell yeah. And man,
so we are working hard to make sure that it's something true.
Yeah. Man, unless by extraordinary means, it's about to go down. And then we're going to push back if they do try to pull out some extraordinary means. So it's kind of about to go down regardless, right?
Yeah, I see it. I see it too.
I was actually thinking about that because clearly AK looks like added a little different. And, you know me, I don't want it. You know what I mean? Because I know me and I know I'm 10 toes. And I know when I get that call, it's like, you got to come. We need you. I'm on my way. And I don't want to be on my, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want it. I would rather us sit in, the chambers and work this shit out as civilized men. When there's a point where that's just not an option. And I get that. You were saying something really interesting Friday night about, because I want to get, before we wrap, I want to talk and promote your debates a little bit too. But,
okay.
Oh my God. So guys, listen, if you can hear this, please, Friday Night Flights. He went so deep. It was a college course. If you have to break it down and listen to hour 1, take your notes and then listen to hour 2, I recommend you do that. To the point of it was such good info, dude. I almost want to download it and break it down into hours. And you know what I mean? And then put it out as hour 1, hour 2, because bro, it was a college course practically. You know what I mean? I would have paid money to get that information, especially about the Republican, agenda and how they're attacking it and how that's bullshit, So anyway, very, very good stuff. So guys, please listen to that. But
Funny you say that because I'm working on clips right now during the show.
Cool. How about you just make this show clip worthy, and then I got your back. Anyway.
I do. I make this show clip worthy too. You got some dope clips. Hey man, listen, if you guys have been watching the clips that have been coming out that I've been sharing or Mike's been sharing, listen, this man is getting pretty clip-tastic. All right. He's got more clips than I got sitting on my desk over there. All right. I'm just saying, my man is with it. So shouts out to you and your work, man. Shouts out to you and your work.
Thank you, brother. We gotta get it though, man. I'm talking to my homeboy Tim and yesterday, and we're hanging out, and he was like, man, and he's been a liberal dude. He's been like a Kucinich kind of alt liberal dude. He didn't like Democrats, but anyway, and he was just talking about how much he liked listening to you. And now he's like, man, well, I probably disagree, or he's very not a pro-Trump guy and stuff. But he's like, I love his stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you can't turn on CNN and get this. You can't turn on Fox News and get this. You can't turn on MSNBC and you can't get a professional, Proud Boy, pro-black, active, small business owner, third Republican chair, active in his community and county, with deep roots in his county or in his community, in politics. You can't get that guy's opinion anywhere else, which is sad. You know what I mean? They should be trying to find somebody at least adjacent to you, but they can't. They don't. They're not even, you know what I mean? But people want to hear what you have to say. Even people who stand in opposition to a lot of what you believe, they still know your viewpoint is valid and important. You know what I mean? So, that's why we do what we do, especially now when they ratcheting shit up. You know what I mean? You want to come at us? Fine. We're going to meet you with the same heat. So it's just me says it was great. It was in-depth insight. Absolutely, man. And just to have him break it down. So yeah, so there is that. Let's go ahead and hit it, man. I'm excited. You got a big deal coming this week. You got a debate coming up, man. Tell us about it.
Yeah, man. So this week is actually a big week in general. On Wednesday, so one of my little bros, shouts out to Devontae. He is the president of the Young Democrat Black Caucus of Georgia. All right. He had a show a few weeks ago and he was talking to a dude. And they were talking about being Republican and being black and all this good stuff. And the dude held his own, but I can definitely tell that he was a novice. He's one of the young blacks. He just became a Republican within the last 5 years, maybe just coming into himself, and maybe less than 5 years, right? You could tell he's still a novice at it. And he was just questioning about some things, and he really didn't know how to answer. And I helped Devontae. I was like, now you know. And he started laughing. And I was like, well, he was like, well, when you gonna come on, big bro? I'm like, shoot, when you want me on, Pimpin'? And we set it up. So Wednesday, June 26th at 8 p.m., as you see it on the screen, the Young Democrats of Georgia Black Caucus. And me, the honorable statesman, Brother Protocol, will be live and direct, and we'll be holding down. We'll be having the tough conversation. I mean, we'll be talking about Project 2025. Pretty sure he's going to ask me about being a black Republican. He's going to ask me about, being out here in these streets, because that's one thing. I don't have a problem when a Democrat knows me. See, there's one thing locally that the Democrats can never take away from me locally, and that is that I be in these streets. I be outside. I be with AB if it's about the community. And again, I've said it time and time again, and I'm going to say it one more again. The Dems win because they in the community. I make sure my black Republican ass is seen in the community. So they can't say, they may be able to say, well, where are the rest of them at? But they can't say that they ain't at least one in the building. And I make sure that happens. So, it's going to be good. It's going to be a very lively debate, a very lively conversation, man. Bring your notebook, because you already know I'm going to be dropping gems. If you know a Democrat, point them over to the show. Tell them they need to watch it. This badass Republican brother, this badass geeky conservative is finna be on the scene, and I'm going to be kicking ass and taking names. I need a secretary to take the names, because I'm just going to be proficient at kicking ass.
Just owning it. And what are your plans for the Trump? Where are you watching the Trump debate at?
So the Trump debate, I will start the Trump debate outside the doors of CNN. That's right. I'm going up to Atlanta and I'm going to be outside the CNN building, right? For the debate. Yes, I am.
Bruh.
And
Bro, let
then
me produce. I will sit here if you need a console guy.
okay.
I'll hook up your stuff where you can go live from your phone, and I'll take care of stuff from here, and we'll do it, man. Holy crap, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
bro.
I'm gonna pull up on the scene. And then I'm gonna take it from there, and I'm gonna go to a local spot in Atlanta. Shouts out to my girl Miss Kayla, aka Miss Michaela. She Miss Kayla. She's hosting a debate watch party, and some of you guys are like Miss Kayla, yeah. So you guys know the hug heard around the world, right? The Chick-fil-A hug, the chick that gave Trump the hug, that's Miss Kayla. Miss Kayla is a organizer for Conserve the Culture. She's also a regional director, I believe, for Blexit as well. But anyway, she's out there in the streets of Atlanta. She's in the AUC, and she's doing big work for conserve the culture and conserving the culture and pushing the conservative movement within the community. So they're hosting a watch party, a debate watch party, and then there's going to be like some impromptu conversations afterwards. So I'm going to be there with them for that. I'm going to spend the weekend up in Atlanta. So I'll be there
Nice.
Thursday and come back home on Sunday. So Friday night flights will take place from Atlanta, Georgia this weekend.
Chocolate City. What you know about that?
The new Mecca, the new Black Mecca.
Yeah, man. Haram was talking about going live. I want to do that too. Like what I'm wanting to do. I haven't talked to Haram about it yet, but I think it would be great if me and him were watching live. And I knew you were going to Atlanta. I knew you had stuff, but basically have you as like, you know what I mean, man on the ground, and we're live. So when you call in, we're blasting to all platforms. You know what I mean? And so you're getting your pub and your love. I think that would be awesome. Maybe we'll work it out. We'll see. We're all going to be watching though. If nobody goes with me, I'll go live anyway. I'm going to have to because, I'm going to have to because this is going to be interesting. And then I think people like you, people like me who have worked in public speaking for over 20 years, who understand a lot of this stuff, who understand debates and things like that. Look, I'm not good at a lot of shit. I'm not. I understand this though. I do. Check my hits. Okay.
Right.
I couldn't do what you do in a lot of ways, but I can do that. So want to go live. Would love to bring Haram. I think me, you, and Haram together when it comes to stuff like that are like a super team. For some reason, it's just a badass 3 unit. So we're going to try to do that. You're going to be on the ground. I'm going to be ready. We're going to be watching. Make sure you tune in Thursday for that. Then what really excites me is Friday night, live from Atlanta. You're going to be there, breaking it all down, wrapping it up, letting us know how it all went. Maybe with a guest, possibly.
Maybe with a guest, possibly. We don't know. We will find out.
But man, I'm going to ask you one favor for Friday night. From me, from LS, from It's Just Me. Man, will you take calls at least starting after like 90 minutes? Because we're going to want to talk to you about your experience in the debates. We're going to be blowing you up, dog. We're going to need that info. You know what I'm saying?
Minutes. You won't calls after 90 minutes?
Really, after 60, but I know how you like to roll. So I think you should make it like a guest calling kind of thing. You're in Chocolate City. Let the people flow, but
let the people flow. Let the people flow. Asking for a lot, Ricky Bobby. Yeah, I know. We're going to see.
Well, I mean, if you're in Atlanta, why not? But yeah, man, whenever you know, I got your back. So Thursday night to Tuesday night, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, by the way. Please do, if you're in the Norman, Oklahoma City, Edmond area, check out ESQ Massage for therapeutic and medical massage. Good stuff there. So Mike tries to, man, shut up, Fuego.
Go get yourself right. Right? Tries to call during free flight. He's like, what? I can't see you.
Hey, bro, I'm sorry. I'm used to professionally produced shows. My bad. I'm not used to some janky podcast with a big black screen and a guy talking, and I'm the asshole for wondering what's going on. My bad. Okay.
Sometimes you got to get, you got to get them ready. It's like, who's talking? It's like, in the NBA, it's like the Chicago Bulls when they shut the lights off. It's like, doom, 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 doom.
Okay. And if it was like for 2 minutes and there was music, okay. But you're like 12 minutes in, just having a conversation. I'm like, surely by now, like, Like, I could see if he was like, ladies and gentlemen, get ready. But like, you're just talking to him like, bro, at least
Yeah.
throw up your logo. Let's sell that pro logo. Let's go. Speaking of that, we got some pro
The logos,
products.
the logos be in the bottom of the screen.
I know, but instead
every
of a big black
time.
square. Okay, so if people don't know that they're watching you, this is some inside
Mhm.
baseball if you're still listening, kids. If people don't know what they're watching, they're gonna do they offer happy endings?
He came in late. He missed that
I-
entirely. I got to give it to him. I got to give it to him.
Ready, guys?
By the way, my shirt says the dark zone because I knew that's what we were doing tonight. You're right, LS. Thank you, LS, because I'm trying to get a sponsor for our show. Thank you for the support, LS. Because if there's one thing they want when I sell them on, doing a sponsorship is the fact that, gonna have a lot of sex jokes for their business. So what do you do, LS? I'm gonna come down to your job and make sex jokes, LS. Okay. I'm kidding. We signed up for this, man. We want to make a living talking into our computers. Give us all this shit, okay? You know what I mean? Seriously, if we can't handle it. So the plane is in the video. We're still taxing on the Fuego's on your side, bro.
That's my dog. That's my dog, sir. That's my dog.
That's because y'all are racist. Look, I'm like Caitlin Clark, okay? Look. Here's the deal, okay?
Caitlin lost today.
Can I tell you, but because of all the dirty black people. Look, every time Caitlin gets the ball, a police officer should run out onto the basketball court, escort her to the basket, okay? Lift her up so she can make the basket, then leave the court. And if you think anything else, you're a racist.
Hey, while you playing, they might actually jump on that. Like they may actually take your advice and do that. I'm just saying because
I really like when they said police. That was the first. I was like, this is comedy, right? Like, could you imagine? Right? Like if I was writing a comedy sketch and I had actors, I'd have the white girl go out there. And when she got the ball, be like, tweet. And some fat cop would waddle out there with hand out. You know what I mean? Protecting her. And then they lift her up to make the basket. And all the whites were like, yeah. Oh my God. That's so cheese. You know what I mean? So he said the algorithm wouldn't let their comments through. Fair enough. That's true. Anyway, yeah, man. I mean, come on, right? But anyway, the idea that the woke right is now behaving just like the woke left, and there's something about aligning with an ideology that says that if you say anything critical about this protected group, then you're bad. And then you have to adopt the woke ideology to carry that because that's ultimately not true and against the other principles and aspects of what you believe. Does that make sense what I'm thinking there and why it's infecting? And it's like a virus. I mean, Marxism is clearly meant to be a virus. It's meant to infect you on a base level from the TV. It's not, it's a nonviolent takeover. So
it's a nonviolent takeover. Infect your mind.
Yeah, man. So I agree with that. All right, man. So we got a busy week, guys. Thank you so much for listening. What do you want to leave the people with other than, of course, listen to protocol, follow protocol?
Hey, man, listen to me every Sunday, 8 p.m., every Friday, 8 p.m., and in between every now and then on Tuesday. Make sure you guys follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter. I still call it Twitter because it's Twitter. At Seaport Pro. That's at the letter CPORTPRO. It's the same over in Instagram. If you haven't followed me over on YouTube, do me a favor. Follow me on YouTube at Protocol. PRO, the number 2 KALL. Look me up. You'll see my face. And also follow me over on Rumble, man. I'm trying to get those numbers up. We're making big moves. I want to continue to make those big moves. Surprisingly enough, guys, I have not cracked 100 followers on Rumble. The fuck? That shit doesn't make sense. But I get 200 and 300, and one of my videos has like 30,000 views over on Rumble, but I haven't cracked 100. So do me a favor, guys. Help me crack 100 followers over on Rumble. It's protocol. It's simple. help me crack it, man. Share it with your friend. Tell them it's some good conversation, man. Good knowledge. Grown folk content for sure. For now, in a couple of weeks though, I will say this on the way out the door. In a couple of weeks, I have a class that I have to teach locally. We have night basketball going on over the summer, and I was sequestered, if you would, to come in and teach the kids about the entertainment industry, music, podcasting, things of those nature. So the Fridays that I am with the kids, I will be podcasting with the kids. So it'll be grown adult content. It'll be kid content, kid friendly content with not so much grown language. So I won't be drinking. I won't be smoking. I'm going to change the opening. Right. My opening flight message. I mean, change it up a little bit for the teenagers. But yeah, that's what we're gonna do, man. So let's do that, man. But yeah, let's get me over 100 followers over there on Rumble. Let's see how far up we can get to up the chain.
That's the campaign, y'all. Next Sunday night, report back to us. We're gonna get pros numbers to up over 100 on that Rumble for sure. El Salt, just real fast. He said when Fresh Mike was talking about Israel's proclivities, I put why are you gay? Why are you gay? Rumble block that or YouTube. El Salt's on Rumble right now. Fuego. So yeah. Which is, that's funny. I'm just not a
I don't have any blocks on my Rumble page.
Neither do I.
So
like I have none. Rumble automatically. Maybe I haven't set it to you. You have to reset it, right? In chats. So if he's coming through your chat, I don't know there. Anyway, yeah, man, it was awesome. When is your water gun fight thing?
The water gun fight is next Sunday. Thank you. That is next Sunday. So I may be a little late to the show.
No worries, because we're moving next week. So I was about to say Sunday night. If y'all see me,
then Sunday,
and I'm haggard and I'm podcasting from my phone. I'm kidding. I'm gonna have my studio.
Yeah. Hey,
of course, it's the first thing we set up when we move is our studio. But yeah,
it really is. It really is. Facts. Studio, then bed. Always.
If you're a chef, you make sure you got a hot plate first. You know what I mean? So this is what we do. All right, man, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We're gonna be a busy week. Once again, Tuesday Rumble on Rumble. If you know Jonah the Troublemaker, aka what's his new name? Not Fair Use Jonah. What is it? Anyway, Jonah the Troublemaker is gonna do an audio drop in looking for
gain of function Jonah.
That's what it is. So anyway, he's going to be on for a quick audio jump, and then I'm looking at a couple of different guests, whichever one comes on. But Tuesday night's going to be fun. Now, after that, guys, that's Tuesday night PT Pod. Wednesday night, not much going on. Thursday night is Pro, right there. DJ Protocol, live national televised debate. It's going to be great. You got to tune in for that. Then Thursday night after that, we're going to have the national debate. I'll be live. We'll be rocking that. So do that. And then Friday night, of course, is Friday Night Flights. And we're going to leave you with a friend of the show. He's been on way back in the day, one of our party shows, and that is Jay Pylon. He's got a new release out. If you listen to Friday Night Flights, you heard it at the top of the show. We're going to play it out for you because you deserve something smooth and nice. And thank you so much. We want to send a very, very huge thank you to our guest, AK KAMARA. You were amazing. You were awesome, brother. We just need more time with you. And, of course, always, thank you, brother. I know you got a busy week coming. I'm excited. We got some pro merchandise coming, more pro products. We're excited about those. So
you can also, we got some available right now, guys. You can always hit up the merch site, man. You can hit up the merch site. It's on my page, and I'll tweet it again, and so you guys can hit it. So everybody here is following me on X anyway, so I will tweet out the merch site, and we'll make it happen, Captain.
Heel to the guys, once again, thank you so much. And to show you a little love, we're going to play out a little Jay Pylon. Oh, sorry, guys. Once again, thank you so much. It's Jay Pylon with Invisible.
Just a little unnoticed when the lights dim down low. I start to feel the distance grow. Yeah, I'm caught in the shadows. Plotting everyone else's existence. Feels like you're looking down on me. You're so high up, who needs company? I'm not invisible.
Shout out Fuego.
Just a little unnoticed. I'm here in the back of the room, clear but just out of focus. I'm not
Shout out Fuego.
invisible.
Shout out LS. Shout out It's Just Me.
Just a little unnoticed.
Shout out Amy. Shout out Jack.
I'm here in the back of the room, clear but just out of focus. I'm not invisible, just a little unnoticed.
Shout out Chad.
I'm not invisible. Just a little unnoticed. I'm here in the back of the room, clear but just out of focus. I'm not invisible. Little unnoticed. Feels like you're looking down on me. You're so high up, who needs company? I'm not invisible, just a little unnoticed. I'm here in the back of the room, clear but just out of focus. I'm not invisible, just a little unnoticed. Sometimes it feels like I've seen through just a really bad review. Tell me what it is that keeps you high above it all. Feels like you're looking down on me. You're so high up, who needs company? I'm not invisible, just a little unnoticed. I'm here in the back of the room, clear but just out of focus. I'm not invisible, just a little unnoticed. I'm here in the back of the room, clear but just out of focus. I'm not invisible, just a little unnoticed. I'm not invisible.